This is the latest edition of the Liberty Beat, online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow reporting. Your news now continues. Documents obtained by the American Civil Liberties Union reveal that local police are helping ICE spy on Americans. That word comes in a report from The Mind Unleashed, which says that in May of 2018, the ACLU of Northern California filed a Freedom of Information Act lawsuit against the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement after the agency refused to comply with requests for records related to a massive automatic license plate reader database operated by a company called Vigilant Solutions. The records reveal that local law enforcement agencies are helping ICE by sharing residents' location information with the federal agency. The documents reveal that more than 9,000 ICE agents have access to the license plate reader database as a result of a $6.1 million contract with Vigilant Solutions. The Verge first reported on the contract in 2018. In yet another major move from the Lawyers Committee for 9/11 Inquiry, architects and engineers for 9/11 Truth, and 9/11 victim family members Robert McIlvaine and Barbara Krukowski-Rastelli, a joint federal lawsuit has been filed to assess any evidence the FBI may have known about that contributed to the destruction of the towers on 9/11, which may have been kept from Congress. The complaint cites the failure of the FBI and its 9/11 Review Commission to assess key 9/11-related evidence that the FBI can be shown to have had or been aware of. According to the press release issued by architects and engineers for 9/11 Truth, the evidence is relevant to the 9/11 Review Commission's and the FBI's compliance with the mandate from Congress, which should have been assessed by the FBI and 9/11 Review Commission and reported to Congress. The complaint also cites the destruction by the FBI of evidence related to the high fivers. Support for the Liberty Beat comes from the Conscious Resistance Network, featuring videos, news reports, and articles from a spiritual anarchist perspective. Experience the Conscious Resistance at theconsciousresistance.com. How would you like to have your business featured on the Liberty Beat? You can. It's simple. Just send an email to libertybeat@snls.news for details. This is the Liberty Beat, produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. The Liberty Beat is online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow reporting with the latest edition of the Liberty Beat, reminding you, spread liberty with a smile.
Big tech news this week as Microsoft has unveiled its new generation Xbox One. Designers say the console's revolutionary new voice command feature makes it easier than ever for the Xbox to control its users. According to Microsoft spokesman Don Matrick, quote, "The Xbox One is programmed with a host of simple voice commands that you will respond to instantly. In addition to phrases like jump, shoot, and insert game disc, users will also understand more complicated instructions like download Call of Duty Update or come into the room and turn on Xbox."
The Xbox One tells us what games to play, what music to listen to, what shows to watch.
Watch TV.
And with that simple command, I'm watching live TV.
The new Xbox's high-tech sensors can also detect your expression and tell when you're looking away from the television.
Andy, look back at the TV.
Microsoft says the new Xbox can also command you using your smartphone or tablet. TechBuzz is raving, quote, "It's the immersive obedience experience we've been waiting for."
This is the Onion News Network.
I'm not hearing anything from GCN at this point, so I'm going to just presume that they've got me. This is Free Talk Live. It's Mark with you.
Jay.
And Michael.
And I've got this story up here I want to talk to you about. U.S. teachers demand change after execution-style shootings with pellet guns in a school shooter drill.
Wait, they shot the teachers with pellet guns execution style?
Yeah, I heard a nice little, the Lava Flow podcast. Roger Paxton was talking about this, and He was like, those CO2 powered airsoft pellets, like those things hurt. I don't know if you ever got hit by one, but like, especially if you're like not wearing like a jacket or something. And, my brother's got one, and you're wearing a T-shirt and he's like 10, 15 feet away. I mean, it feels like you got, stung by a nasty hornet or something, and it'll make a welt. It'll make you bleed, and, it'd take your eyeball out. And so, that was pretty intense. I was, it's pretty brazen. They're just going to go in there and start shooting up teachers. I don't know if the teachers like knew that this was a drill or something was happening.
Yeah, I did. I heard a little bit about this. Apparently, they had no clue they were going to get shot like that.
Yeah, that's the gist I got from listening to Lava Flow the other day about it.
They seem pretty outraged, I can tell you that much.
Yeah, they,
somebody shot me, I'd be a little outraged. Even if it was a pellet gun.
Yeah, that's right. They were. Roger was reading off, some stuff that these teachers had to say, and that they were shot several times, and then they were brought back outside, and then they were brought back in to like for more, like after they were shot once and stuff, and they couldn't believe it was happening.
So the story is here from the independent.co.uk. Teachers in Indiana have demanded legislative change after being forced to endure execution-style shootings by local law enforcement using pellet guns during an active shooter drill. So if you can imagine, the cops just bust into the classroom, like, get up against the wall. I don't want to get up against the walls. I don't care if you get up against the wall.
This is really brazen to do in Indiana, because Indiana, from what I understand, I got a lot of friends. I used to go to this big truck pull thing in Scheid Diesel Extravaganza out there, and it was almost open carry like Pork Fest, because Indiana, from what I understand, is very, very good gun laws, and like open carry, they have constitutional carry, and that's what those guys are telling me. So, I mean, what if a teacher was actually concealed carrying, and then they just come in to do a drill?
Yeah, did they even know this drill was going to happen?
Who knows?
Even if they did, they didn't know that this was going to happen. Let's read the story a little bit more. Elementary school teachers in Monticello, Indiana, suffered physical wounds, including bruises, welts, and abrasions when they were shot by the plastic pellets, according to a new report. The teachers repeatedly screamed in horror and pain. It gives it authenticity. During the active shooter training, as they were told to face the walls of their classrooms and kneel down before being shot by the officers.
Oh my.
The Indiana State Teachers Association has called on lawmakers in the state to add an amendment to the new school safety bill so that more reasonable limits are placed on these drills.
Yeah, who thought of shooting the teachers execution style? This is not a normal thing for an active shooter drill. You cut it off before that point normally.
When I first heard about this drill, that there was an active shooter drill, so like, being, listening to all the conspiracy theory stuff over the years, all these mass shootings, it seems like, Homeland Security or whatever, or the state police in a couple towns over were planning some kind of terrorism drill. Like there was a drill the same day as like the marathon bombing. There was a drill the same day as this shooting in Connecticut down there a couple years ago. I forget what town.
Sandy Hook.
Yeah, Sandy Hook. And there was a drill, like just several of these things. I mean, Alex Jones and, talks about it, and a lot of these guys. He's backed up on that.
And
so there's always these drills. So when I heard this drill, I'm like, so there was a drill. So was there some Manchurian candidate dude that was all jacked up and sent to go shoot up a school, and it didn't happen, and they had to drill anyways, as a distraction or whatever? It just keeps on reminding me of this. I really think a lot of these things are, pushed to happen, like these mass shootings, just like in that V for Vendetta movie when the prime minister is like, remind the people why they need us, and, keep this stuff, just moving and happening. So, I mean,
I have no clue. I don't I tend not to think that these things are staged. However, I am sure This is what I imagine happening is that some police officer out there is taking his job a little too seriously. It's like, if you're not ready for these active shooters, you're gonna die. So we're gonna get in there and we're gonna train those teachers. The best way to train them is putting little plastic pellets in these things and shooting them. They're gonna take these little school marms are gonna take seriously security, right? And
it's certainly realistic. I'll give you that.
Sergeant Slaughter, just goes in there. It's like, he's lost his mind.
That could have been.
The teachers were terrified, but were told not to tell anyone what happened, the group said in a statement.
Yeah, like that's ever going to not tell anyone.
Teachers waiting outside that heard the screaming were brought into the room four at a time, and the shooting process was repeated.
Oh, my.
This is how it could go, ladies.
Yeah,
what is the point of this?
So let's get to the public school versus private school. What would happen if this was in a private school? Somebody would be getting fired. Somebody would be getting sued. Somebody would be getting shot with a real gun. If those private school teachers were allowed to actually carry and be able to defend their school when somebody comes. You can't tell the difference between an airsoft gun and a real gun.
What's the point in having an active shooter drill where you execute the teachers outright without them having some ability to protect themselves? I mean, really,
it doesn't make sense.
I mean, how would Sergeant Slaughter handle this if that's the concern here? I mean, what are you going to do? You going after him with a pencil? You gonna throw your laptop at him?
I have a friend that teaches a practical application of force class, and literally in this class, you learn how to kill someone with a pencil right away.
But you can't do that against. I mean, I'm sure that that these cops are going to be doing active drill, right?
The teachers knew about it.
I don't have that one. I mean, other than they were told not to talk about when they were being taken into the room and executed.
Well, in theory, they should know about that a drill is going to happen.
See, yeah. I'm under the impression, I don't know a lot about this, maybe it's in the article, that this was a total surprise by the teachers. But what if there was, what if Chuck Norris was the substitute teacher that day?
Right.
Well,
that's the difficulty here is let's suppose he doesn't. If you do know, you don't want to use deadly force against these guys who are going to come in and then do an execution. So, that makes this part of the drill kind of pointless,
right?
If you don't know, then you do know that sometimes they do active shooter drills. What's more likely to occur? The annual or even semi-annual active shooter drill, or a bunch of terrorists coming in who speak English really well and taking over the school.
And how do you tell the difference?
I mean, either way, if I could kill a man with a pencil, I am best served not to kill a man with a pencil in this circumstance. Do you understand where I'm coming from?
Oh, I do. But if you have no idea this is happening, and you're you're at work, whether you're a school teacher or you're working your desk job at some office building, and dudes come in with guns, and a guy puts a gun up to your head, and you can reach out and stab him in the throat with a pencil. I mean, what are you going to do?
Yeah, if I can stop the threat, I'm going to.
Right. I don't have any problem with actually stopping a terrorist threat with a pencil.
But you don't know it's a terrorist threat.
It's unlikely to be. Statistically, it's unlikely to be a terrorist threat too, making this even more difficult. What do you think? 855-450-3733. 855-450-FREE as in Free Talk Live.
Business owners, you want more customers? Accept cryptocurrencies. There's people all around you just waiting to spend money at your store. If only you would take it. I know, you've been waiting till someone else makes it easy. Well, good news. HelpMeTakeBitcoin.com adds Bitcoin to your point of sale. Totally free. Use the same equipment you already have, now with Bitcoin. And unlike credit cards, there's no fees. Let the guys at HelpMeTakeBitcoin.com bring new customers to your store. HelpMeTakeBitcoin.com.
Bitcoin.com is delighted to announce their latest partnership with the gift card specialists at eGifter. With many of the world's leading brands on their roster, it is now easier than ever to get the gift cards of your favorite brands with Bitcoin Cash. To get started, just follow these simple steps. Visit giftcards.bitcoin.com, pick the gift card you want, follow the instructions on your screen, and make your payment using your Bitcoin Cash wallet. Sit tight and your gift card will be delivered to you as soon as it's ready. That's giftcards.bitcoin.com.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer-term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Go to themorganreport.com and receive updates and insights you will not find anywhere else on the web. You will discover how to grow and protect your wealth under all market conditions. The free Morgan Report provides interviews, webinars, question and answer sessions, plus mind-blowing videos. As David Morgan says, let my passion create your wealth. Themorganreport.com. Themorganreport.com.
Hi, I'm Derek J. I don't want a politician to represent me. To me, government is the idea that one group of people can coerce everyone to comply with an edict or face increasing punishments up to and including death. Despite perhaps the most noble of intentions, the best government services are a far cry from what could be provided for by voluntary interactions. Besides, the people who call themselves the government wage wars and put peaceful people in jail for crimes involving no victims. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM. What do you shop for that you could otherwise buy at Amazon? Pretty much everything, right? Amazon has competitive pricing and they deliver, and that's a big plus. If you could plan ahead in your shopping, would you be interested in saving up to 33%? There's a catch. You have to do your shopping in Bitcoin. But imagine those savings. It's like a huge raise. All you have to do is go to saveitpurse.com. We've saved thousands, and you can too. Plan ahead and save. Saveitpurse.com.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. You're welcome to call in, share whatever's on your mind. We're talking about this story that apparently from Indiana, some cops jacked up on adrenaline go in and do an active shooter drill in an elementary school. I mean, and then in the process, they got these pellet guns. They're using airsoft guns, I think is my guess is what they've got. And,
yeah, that's what they said.
These are great. They're great training implements. No, by no means aren't they?
Yeah, if you get hit by one, you'll know you were hit.
They're taking these. Yeah, I mean, they're serious business. They're taking these elementary school teachers. They're lining them up against the wall and they're executing them with pellet guns. They're not actually killing them, but I mean execution style, I guess. Taking them into the room 4 at a time. You know, I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, they've taken this active shooter drill so far.
Let's go to Bobby calling in from Florida. Bobby, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
Yes, I know this was at an elementary school, but, say it was at a high school. I'm with you guys. If I'm a student and I didn't know when these guys start rolling in or I hear them, I'm going to get a desk or something. I'm going to get me and a couple buddies, and we're going to take 2 or 3 desks and just start slamming these guys in the face. They kind of...
Right. I mean, do a Flight 93 on them.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it sounded, because they said that they could hear him in the halls and people running around. I'm getting me and a couple of buddies. We're ready. We're going to get right by that door and have desks. And when they pop in, we're just going to start popping them in the head.
Frickin' Bobby.
I mean,
that's the way you do it.
Yes.
You're supposed to fight.
Right. Oh, well, that's the thing. Is if you're to take this seriously, then you take it seriously. I mean, is it a live drill or isn't it a live drill? If it's a live drill, and if it's not a live drill, they shouldn't be executing the teachers, right? If it is a live drill, I should have fought with everything I had.
Right.
And then some police officers get hurt, and they, the union sues and all that other stuff. Thanks for the call, Bobby. Appreciate it. 855-450-3733. The thing that I can't square in my mind, now I don't know exactly where this happened in Indiana. I know it happened in Indiana.
I think that's a suburb of Indianapolis.
And the one part that I can't square in my mind is police tend to look a certain way, right? They tend to be kind of beefy. Mm-hmm. They tend to have short haircuts. You're probably not dealing with the undercover narc squad here. You're probably dealing with the guys that are on the SWAT team.
Right.
That's my guess. And one of the things they do, part of the SWAT team, this is all training, right? And those guys, I mean, I worked with law enforcement for years. I know what they look like. And they don't look like terrorists.
What do terrorists look like?
Not this.
I think the definition of terrorist to me, the only people who have ever terrorized me in my life have always been cops.
I understand.
So
they're
the biggest terrorists in this country.
They don't look like the non-governmental take over a school and execute the teachers like the movies terrorists. Right? Like you could see a terrorist cell in the movies being full of a bunch of short-haired, slightly overweight. Overweight might not be the right term, but I mean, as far as an insurance company goes, they're overweight because insurance companies just decide on your height and you should fit a certain weight bracket. So this is certainly meat, certainly fat, the whole deal, right? And these guys, they just don't fit the what I would imagine this looking the terrorist cell looking like, which then makes it so the teachers and the students take this as a training exercise. And if it's a training exercise, we should treat it like a training exercise and make it so that somebody can learn something from it.
For whom is it a training exercise? The cops, the teachers, the students? Who?
Right.
Well, all of the above?
According to this,
yes.
I'm looking at here, it says it's for the teachers. They were saying the training was meant to be realistic, to show what happens if you don't act. Basically, if you're not going to fight back, basically the idea is teachers need to fight back, and that's what Roger Paxson was saying on his show the other day. That they were saying that teachers just going to get executed, so you need to fight back anyways. And
right,
well, they drove
that's
that
a terrible way to train, because in order to fight back, you can't fight back with like running at them, flailing and throwing your fists. That's dumb. Okay,
if they were supposed to fight back, they should have gotten some kind of training on exactly how to do that.
Agreed. They probably should have had some training on how to fight back. But what if one of these was packing heat and did? Does she pass?
Yeah.
You pass. We have a dead cop here. Officer down.
That would pass the test.
Now, does she go to prison for having an unlicensed? I don't know whether they're allowed to have the guns in the school here or not. But if they are allowed to have the guns in the school, then she would have done nothing illegal.
I would not convict.
According to this NBC News article 5 days ago, it says White County Sheriff Bill Brooks said participation was voluntary and the teachers were shown beforehand what the drill would entail.
Were they told they would be executed?
It doesn't say. This is just a little brief.
Well, he said they were told it ahead of time. I think that sounds like a bunch of covering to me.
Most likely.
I don't believe that for a second.
But they tell the teachers, don't discuss this. Don't talk about this afterwards.
Well,
yeah, they're covering.
I think that might be related to just that moment when they were taking the teachers into the room and executing them. I don't know. Don't tell you the other teachers we're going to take them into the room and execute them. Because if you're being taken 4 at a time out, I mean, are you being exchanged as a hostage or are you being executed? You really don't know. I mean, if you keep on hearing gunshots, then maybe you do. So going on here. No one in education takes these drills lightly, the statement continued. The risk of harming someone far outweighs whatever added realism one is trying to convey here. Officers conducting the voluntary training did not initially inform the school teachers they would be shot with the plastic pellets, according to a report published in the Indianapolis Star.
Okay, so they didn't know they were...
This is the news, and the news is never right, Michael. I've had dozens of news stories written about me and things that I'm closely related to, and
they never get it right.
It's always really close to right, and some stories are better than others, but there's never a story that's perfect. So you just have to read the news and kind of wonder.
And especially if they have like advertising for pharmaceutical commercials and like the National Guard and like the NRA, they're not going to be right then.
I'm not sure what necessarily is going to be the outcome, but I would say that it's impossible unless you're there to write the perfect story. One reason the bloggers are so valuable these days in the production of news. This is what happens if you just cower and do nothing, said one of the officers, according to a teacher who spoke at the local newspaper anonymously. Gail Z., Director of Government Relations for the Indiana State Teachers Association, told the outlet the group was seeking a simple statement in this bill that would prohibit the shooting of some types of projectiles at the staff in an active shooter drill. I mean, okay, that sounds fair. It seems like if you're going to do an active shooter drill, you probably shouldn't be shooting the staff.
That seems reasonable.
And I'm not sure you're teaching the staff properly with this drill.
If it gets to that point, you've missed a step.
Because in the one hand, the police are working with fake guns, and the only way that a 120-pound teacher is going to fight back against a 250-pound armed cop is to do something lethal.
Right.
Not fight back, but fight back in a lethal manner. You don't want to come half-stepping in a situation like this. 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE, Free Talk Live, or use the Discord lines at discord.freetalklive.com.
The United States of Empire is a book that claims the United States is the empire of the world. George Washington had warned us against foreign wars. The United States of Empire shows that World Wars I and II left England broken. Its former colony, the U.S., had to save the empire. Was there ever a vote? Who do we fight for? The deep state began with World War I. The United States of Empire by James Dunn. Available at Amazon Books.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug-out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of Slingbow, a new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media, and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. You're welcome to call in and comment on this story or really anything else that's on your mind. We're talking about a situation in Indiana where some teachers were in a live drill, active shooter drill is what we're calling it, here at an Indiana school, and the police using what we're presuming are airsoft pistols, shot them execution style. It's crazy stuff. Let me tell you about Freedom's Phoenix. Freedom's Phoenix is a liberty-oriented news aggregation site. If you want the latest news and freshest stories and a perspective on current events from those who value liberty, freedomsphoenix.com has it. Their daily dispatch is the best way to stay up to date on science, technology, historical findings, liberty news, government overspending, and the rise of the police state. Freedoms with an S, Phoenix.com. It's freedomsphoenix.com. I get their daily dispatch every day and find it to be very valuable. I think you will too. Freedomsphoenix.com. This is what happens if you just cower and do nothing, said one of the officers. Other officials with the Teachers Association said that the shooting of teachers is not the normal practice and had not occurred in other state active shooter trainings. The active shooter training carried out at the Indiana school was known as ALICE, which stands for Alert, Lockdown, Inform, Counter, and Evacuate. The drills typically inform teachers and students how to escape shootings by exiting the building through classroom windows, throwing objects, and distracting intruders, among other responses. They do not always involve officers firing pellets and other plastic products, though it has occurred in several other reported examples. So, there you go.
Well, this has been done a few other places, like this picture I just showed you while we were on the break. It shows a guy on the ground and someone standing against a wall and another guy with a gun. They're all just wearing T-shirts and they're wearing airsoft goggles and face mask. And it says schools, teachers, and administrators in Colorado City, Colorado, participate in a mock active shooter drill with an airsoft pellet gun on June 28th. And this is the first I've heard of it the last few days.
Right.
So this has definitely been something that must be doing it quite a bit all over the place. If it's
I think that June 28th was the incident.
Well, this is in Colorado.
And this is in Colorado.
Just a picture, and then it's talking about members of Indiana Teachers Association, unless they're flying the members of the Indiana Teachers Association to drill in Colorado.
Yeah,
I mean, this is really
likely,
clear.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, they are saying that they're doing it at other locations. And
it says in Monticello, Indiana, at this other place. So it's obviously a staged thing, and everybody was aware of it. It looks like
the But they're using the pellet guns in other places, but are they shooting teachers in the head? That's the question.
The execution style shooting, I mean, I guess that's shooting in the head, but they don't actually say that they were shot in the head. They said that they received wounds, but...
Well, my understanding of execution style is you have them on their knees and you shoot them in the back of the neck.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like to me, too. I think that this is an appropriate drill for cops. I don't think this is an appropriate drill for teachers. And I think the cops are trying to impart their attitude towards an active shooter to the teachers, and I don't think that's going to work. That's taking square pegs and pounding them into round holes, and it's just not going to work. I understand their zeal to have people prepared and to protect themselves. However, this isn't the way to go about it, gentlemen. And at this point, all we're saying is that I'm not with the teachers. I don't think you need an extra law here that says that you can't shoot teachers with plastic BBs. But I would say that when the schools and teachers unions and these sorts of things contract with law enforcement or private security companies or whatever, they need to be a little more clear as to what they're getting from their drill.
Yeah, this training, it just does not sound like it was fit for purpose. It was not something that would actually help anybody resist an active shooter or escape one.
Yeah, these are they're acting like what we would call yahoos. They're just going in there and being too gung-ho with it all.
In an article from Slate.com, it said 2 of the elementary teachers told the Star, I don't know who that is, that they had voluntarily agreed to participate in a training. They had not been warned they would be shot. They said the pellets had left them with bruises and welts, and at least one of the teachers said a pellet left her bleeding.
Oh, my.
Well, I mean, could it break the skin? I don't know about... Yeah, I don't know how bleeding we're talking.
Airsoft, a couple feet away,
yeah,
no
a couple
problem.
feet. Yeah, it could. They certainly.
Especially if you're thin-skinned, and probably went to school for liberal arts and never did any work in your life.
What if you're in your 60s?
That too. Well, yeah, there was teachers when I was in high school. They're in their 70s,
right?
that were there.
This reminds me of a story, and I never ever like to forget this one because it's just such a great example of what can happen. I thought it was a situation. I thought it was more appropriate because it was March Madness, but it wasn't. It was gambling on college football games. Apparently, an optometrist in Virginia Beach was overheard by a police officer, off-duty police officer, gambling with a friend on a football game, and the police officer then went after the friend and got him to just sort of lead his other friend into more and more gambling so he'd actually have some kind of case. They got to a point where they bet more than $2,000 in a single day, and that was enough for police to charge Calusi, that's the Dr. Calusi, with running a gambling operation. And that's when they brought in the SWAT team. On the night of January 24, 2006, I said this wasn't news story.
Nope, this is old.
Yep. They called Calusi and arranged the friend called Calusi and arranged a time to drop by to collect his winnings. When Calusi, barefoot and clad in a T-shirt and jeans, stepped out of his house to meet the man that he thought was a friend, the SWAT team moved in. Moments later, Bullock, that's the cop who had been on duty since 4 a.m. and hadn't slept in 17 hours, had killed him. Calusi's last words were, "Dude, what are you doing?" To make it worse, Calusi's parents, Sal and Anita here, the cops refused to let the nurse notify them that their son, one of 3 children, had been shot. The optometrist's father was also named Salvatore, shortened to Sal, though, although the son is named after an uncle on his mother's side, ironically. The police officer who was killed in the line of duty, ironically, that's what the uncle was. Calusi's did not hear about the raid until 5 hours after their son had been shot and killed, preventing the devout Catholic family from administering last rites. In the months that followed, the cop continued his investigation, badgering Calusi's grieving friends and relatives after pulling their names and numbers from the cell phone he was carrying and a computer taken from his home the night after he was killed. Calusi's brother-in-law told the Washington Post the following April, Bacon called him and menacingly asked, "How much are you into Sal for?" A lifelong friend of Calusi's told the Post that the cop called him and accused him of being a gambler. The calls, the goalie told the paper, smacked of intimidation and discouraging a lawsuit. So this is the kind of thing that can happen when something goes out of control, right? This is an operation here that should have been a simple takedown and arrest. And
actually, it shouldn't have been anything. There's no victim.
Yes.
No victim, no crime. Shouldn't have been a SWAT team there in the first place.
From a libertarian standpoint, I agree. But from a cop standpoint, they could have just arrested this guy, but instead they brought in the SWAT team, and instead they had him down, handcuffed, mind you. I don't have that part in the story here. This guy was on his knees and handcuffed, and this cop shot him.
Now,
accidentally pulled the trigger.
This cop that had been up for 17 hours or working for 17 hours, just like the cop that shot the, I think his name's Kelly, in Ware, New Hampshire, who shot a guy over dealing weed, had done like 100 hours of a work a week or something like that, because he's, they're working to get their time up there so they can really, jack the retirement and the pension on the tax slaves. How many 17 days did this guy work, previously? I mean, we don't know.
855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. Free Talk Live.
Bitcoin.com is delighted to announce their latest partnership with the gift card specialists at eGifter. With many of the world's leading brands on their roster, it is now easier than ever to get the gift cards of your favorite brands with Bitcoin Cash. To get started, just follow these simple steps. Visit giftcards.bitcoin.com, pick the gift card you want, follow the instructions on your screen, and make your payment using your Bitcoin Cash wallet. Sit tight and your gift card will be delivered to you as soon as it's ready. That's giftcards.bitcoin.com.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer-term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
#1 international best-selling author Matthew David Hurtado's pain was simple. Lyme disease bankrupted him in 2009, watching bankers take everything from his family after building a 7-figure business from his couch. God called him to ministry to teach prosperity based on pain he could not tolerate in others' lives. IRS, creditors, car loans, debt. It's the Babylonian system, and you have to escape it before it's too late. Haven't you ever wanted to wake up from this nightmare? Matthew David's free quick study guide shows you what to do today to build lasting wealth in any economy. His discovery he made? It's all consciousness. Get Matthew's 7-figure quick study guide for clarity, certainty, and a proven strategy to build wealth once and for all. Visit escaperightnow.com. Do it now. It's free. escaperightnow.com for a prosperous future ahead with peace of mind. escaperightnow.com.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
Join the LRN.FM Discord for live chat 24/7 at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. You can call in, talk about whatever you want to talk about. We were discussing the situation in Indiana where it's from the independent.co.uk is where we're getting these stories. Oftentimes you can get great stories from foreign media sources. I think they feel less compunction to hide things.
I do that all the time. If I want to find U.S. news, I'll go to foreign sources, and they usually, a lot of times, they have better reporting.
I really enjoy Rick Sanchez and Max Kaiser on RT. I, in fact, invited to Max Kaiser to Fork Fest the other day. I sent him a message. I don't know if he'll get to see it, but it'd be pretty cool if he, showed up for that.
Yeah, well, we'd love to see him. So I think it's worth noting here that the teachers are, to some extent, participating in a willing system, but I think they got a little over their head, and that probably needs to be addressed. If you have any thoughts on it, the number is 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. And I want to tell you about our Twitch channel. You go to twitch.freetalklive.com. If you can do me a favor, please go to twitch.freetalklive.com and open up the browser. We need to keep a certain number of people viewing the Twitch channel in order to get this news special status that will allow us to get to the front page of Twitch. So if you can help us with this little bit, we need this little boost. We need this for the next month. So if you can just open up a browser, leave it open on your computer as long as you can. I have it on mine at my house. Twitch.freetalklive.com. That will be helpful to us. All right. This next story is a real killjoy, guys. And I'll tell you why I'm reading it here in a minute. So get through it with me, and then we can comment on the what I think is the real issue here. Biloxi from HattiesburgAmerican.com. That's the name of the newspaper, Hattiesburg American. A former Mississippi Gulf Coast police officer told a judge Monday that she had sex with her supervisor and then fell asleep. It's not the worst thing in the world, right? Somebody, choosing to have sex with their supervisor.
Yeah, as long as it's consensual.
Office romance.
Yeah. While her 3-year-old daughter was dying inside her overheated patrol car.
No, geez.
Okay.
Casey Barker pleaded guilty Monday to manslaughter in a plea bargain after being indicted on a second-degree murder charge. The Sun Herald reports prosecutors recommended the 29-year-old Barker spend 20 years in prison. Harrison County Circuit Judge Larry Bourgeois said he wanted more time to consider the case and would sentence the ex-Long Beach officer on April 1st. Cheyenne Hayer, that's the daughter, died after her mother left her strapped in a car seat for 4 hours while Barker was with her then supervisor at his home. The car was running with the air conditioner turned on, but wasn't blowing cold air.
Oh, the air conditioner failed.
Yes, on the police car, I guess. The girl was unresponsive when Barker continued. By the way, I would never leave a car running for 4 hours with the air conditioner going. I'm just too cheap. Is this because this is some Nimrod that works for the government and cops leave their cars running all the time?
Yeah, it's all free money.
Yes and no. I used to leave my truck running all the time with
That's
the
a diesel?
air on. Well, it's a diesel, and also it was because I was in the summertime hauling hay or hauling horses. It was hot out, and I needed to take a nap and pull over. So I would, leave or even at night when it's 80, 90 degrees and you're in a truck and you just leave the air on. I've done that several times. But yeah, I definitely wouldn't leave a kid. And I mean, at least if the air conditioning quits, I'm going to wake up and do something about it.
Right.
What's a 3-year-old going to do in a car seat?
Strapped in.
Yeah.
Strapped in and dying. Tortured to death, sadly. I don't know what I could ever do to you that would be worse than what you've already experienced. You will be forever entombed in a prison of your own mind, Bourgeois, the judge, said to Barker, the ex-cop lady, who's the defendant here. Barker had been free on bail, but was arrested Monday after pleading guilty. Barker, who was working 2 jobs at the time, originally claimed that she had been talking to her boss there, Clark Ladner, at his house early on a hot weekday morning when she fell asleep. Lardner and Barker were fired from by the city of Long Beach within days. Lardner hasn't been criminally charged, telling officers he didn't know the girl was in the car. Reports at the time indicated Lardner that Lardner told officials that he had taken a sleep aid and also had fallen asleep. The mother had left her daughter alone in a car at least once before at a store in nearby Gulfport in April 2015. Police responded and child welfare officials took temporary custody of the girl at the time. Barker was suspended from the Long Beach police for a week without pay. The girl's father said that he was never notified of the first incident. Every time I close my eyes, I picture her suffering, and then I picture her lying in this coffin, said the father on Monday. I still see her smiling and laughing in my head, and I would assume that smile and laughter turned into pain and suffering in that instance. The father is suing the Long Beach Police Department and Mississippi Department of Child Protection Service for the wrongful death of his child, saying that the Child Welfare Agency should have taken stronger action after the first incident. Agreed, gentlemen?
Well, yes and no. My problem is everybody wants to pass responsibility onto government. Whether it's child welfare agency, where was the father in all of this, and how come,
Well, how does he know?
Well, I guess how does he know? I mean, was she out screwing around? But,
that's kind of what single young ladies' mothers do. Some young people do that.
Sure, but, I mean, to say, CPS wasn't, responsible enough, I mean, to give them more power, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, they do more destruction than good.
Well, I don't think that CPS ever lacked the power to contact the father.
Oh, you're saying
CPS
not contacting the dad over this, that's an issue, but suing CPS because, they didn't, take
CPS should have, to my mind, if CPS is going to take action and take from this woman her custody, then the daughter should have been given to the father in the first place. It should be a chain of custody for the child, right?
Right.
Okay, yep. Mom can't have custody. Let's call dad. All right? Dad can't take care of dad's not prepared for this. Let's call maternal grandmother grandparents make the most sense because mom had primary custody. So maternal, then paternal. Let's go from here.
Now, if the conclusion that this guy's trying to draw is that CPS did not go after the mother because she was a member of this protected class called the police department, to where if it was some lady just working at a gas station somewhere and had no political connections, they probably just would have, stripped her of everything and took the kid and whatever, because CPS really wants those kids. Just read Carlos Morales' book. I can't remember, something about you remember?
I can't remember the name of his book either. I will, however, say that that's really the reason I brought this story in.
Yep, because they get in that book he details how they get federal money, like the local chapter or the state or the county agency of Child Protective Services gets a chunk of change every time they get custody from the federal government. They get this money every time they take a kid for custody. It's thousands of dollars. I forget what it is. So they get more money in their coffers, and they can engage in more parasite activities and hire more parasite friends to be part of their Child Protective Services, and then
take more kids,
and then take more kids, and then these foster homes get all kinds of federal money and whatnot also. So yes, there's a huge incentive for CPS, whether it's right or wrong, to take kids, but it sounds like because
she was a cop,
yes,
they didn't take the kid.
That's what I think happened here too. So I want to finish the story. Barker herself was hospitalized after the girl's death. I'm sorry here. As a parent, you're supposed to protect your child, and Cheyenne was gone because her mother didn't protect her. Not once, but twice, the father said. Barker herself was hospitalized for trauma, post-traumatic stress here. She was found competent to stand trial. That's the end of the story. When this judge, I don't disagree with this judge when he says that basically there's nothing that he can do to her to make the situation better. I don't know what I could have ever done what I could ever do to you that could be worse than what you've already experienced. You will forever be entombed in a prison of your own mind, the judge said. I agree with that statement.
If that woman has a conscience. There are some super trashy people that just don't care, even if it
she
is their
became
own
a
kid.
cop.
I'm not going to pass that judgment. I think that even police officers are stunned when they hear this particular story. This is a really bad parent, and people don't like bad moms. Obviously, not all women can be great moms. No, all our students are not above average.
Well, yeah, true.
And there's a lot of trashy people out there that just don't care, even if it is their own offspring. And then there's a lot of people who, would never allow this to happen that do care very much.
I'm sure she thought everything was fine by leaving the air on, but that didn't work out. 855-450-3733. Do you think this would have been different if she wasn't a cop?
From the dead doctors don't lie guy. I'm talking about Dr. Joel Wallach. He says if you have a 4-inch medical chart, if you take prescription drugs for high cholesterol or high blood pressure, arthritis, joint pains, or other health issues, the medical profession is failing you. They're using you for an ATM machine. That's what he says. He has a free lecture revealing what pharmaceutical companies don't want you to know. There's been groundbreaking research and discoveries on how to effectively treat or eliminate over 900 different diseases naturally. And it's all in his free lecture called Deadly Recipe. You want it free? Call him toll free at 855-79-YOUNG. You ready? 855-79-YOUNG. Dr. Joel Wallach, the dead doctors don't lie guy, says there's no reason why we shouldn't live to be at least 100 and have a great time getting there.
So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com. LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is the Liberty Beat, your daily source for Liberty news and activist updates. Produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. Online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow with your latest edition of the Liberty Beat. Gold is trading at $1,316. Silver is trading at $15.37, and Bitcoin is trading around $4,009. Today's prices are brought to you by InnoScale. Take off with Managed Cloud. Looking for a safe, secure way to store your important files online? Then let InnoScale handle it for you. Their high-availability cloud servers are the perfect solution for clients needing one or more secure, scalable servers with built-in hardware failover protection. For details, see them online at InnoScale.net. In the news, a new report from Amnesty International reveals that U.S. airstrikes from aircraft and drones have increased in Somalia, resulting in the deaths of at least 14 civilians. The Conscious Resistance, citing the Mind Unleashed, says that due to a literal blackout of all news related to the ongoing wars waged by the U.S. military, most Americans can't name the nations in which the military is currently engaged in conflict or dropping bombs. The report, titled The Hidden U.S. War in Somalia, details the history of terrorist attacks by al-Qaeda and al-Shabaab, the history of U.S. military involvement in Somalia, the current numbers on drone strikes and the impact on Somalis. The report also outlines conclusions about how the U.S. military should approach the situation moving forward. The report shows the U.S. military has tripled the annual rate of drone strikes in Somalia since April 2017. The number of strikes in 2018 was higher than strikes taking place in Libya and Yemen combined. Despite the increase in strikes, the U.S. military continues to claim that no civilians have died. The Amnesty International report investigates 5 incidents in Lower Subel, Somalia, in which 14 civilians were killed and 8 injured. The Liberty Beat is sponsored in part by Bray Botanicals, high-quality kratom and CBD at reasonable prices with excellent customer service. Bray Botanicals is activist-owned and mission-driven, fighting for your right to consume plant-based medicine and natural remedies. Find out more at mybraybotanicals.com. And listen up, Liberty Beat listeners. Right now, you can save 10% off your purchase by using promo code SNLS at checkout. This is the latest edition of the Liberty Beat, online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow reporting. Your news now continues. Documents obtained by the American Civil Liberties Union reveal that local police are helping ICE spy on Americans. That word comes in a report from The Mind Unleashed, which says that in May of 2018, the ACLU of Northern California filed a Freedom of Information Act lawsuit against the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement after the agency refused to comply with requests for records related to a massive automatic license plate reader database operated by a company called Vigilant Solutions. The records reveal that local law enforcement agencies are helping ICE by sharing residents' location information with the federal agency. The documents reveal that more than 9,000 ICE agents have access to the license plate reader database as a result of a $6.1 million contract with Vigilant Solutions. The Verge first reported on the contract in 2018. In yet another major move from the Lawyers Committee for 9/11 Inquiry, architects and engineers for 9/11 Truth, and 9/11 victim family members Robert McIlvaine and Barbara Krukowski-Rastelli, a joint federal lawsuit has been filed to assess any evidence the FBI may have known about that contributed to the destruction of the towers on 9/11, which may have been kept from Congress. The complaint cites the failure of the FBI and its 9/11 Review Commission to assess key 9/11-related evidence that the FBI can be shown to have had or been aware of. According to the press release issued by architects and engineers for 9/11 Truth, the evidence is relevant to the 9/11 Review Commission's and the FBI's compliance with the mandate from Congress, which should have been assessed by the FBI and 9/11 Review Commission and reported to Congress. The complaint also cites the destruction by the FBI of evidence related to the high fivers. Support for the Liberty Beat comes from the Conscious Resistance Network, featuring videos, news reports, and articles from a spiritual anarchist perspective. Experience the Conscious Resistance at theconsciousresistance.com. How would you like to have your business featured on the Liberty Beat? You can. It's simple. Just send an email to libertybeat@snls.news for details. This is the Liberty Beat, produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. The Liberty Beat is online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow reporting with the latest edition of the Liberty Beat, reminding you, spread liberty with a smile.
This is The Onion Week in Review. In light of reports this week of a Russian crime ring stealing 1.2 billion username and password combinations from internet users, experts from top security firms across the country reportedly advised Americans to refrain from clicking on anything at all. The nation's top security specialists warned individuals to actively avoid any scrolling or swiping on the internet, and further urged Americans, as an added precaution, to steer clear of buttons, keyboards, and computer screens altogether. In other news, an employer botches a job interview. A date's flaws are coming at a woman faster than she can rationalize them, and a going out of business sign thanks a neighborhood for 3 months of no support whatsoever. Whether or not this video news summary eased the pain of your existence, you can now take solace in the fact that you're a few minutes closer to departing this meaningless world. For more, keep checking theonion.com.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Free Talk Live kicking off the second hour. It's Mark with you.
Jay.
And Michael.
Talking about a really sad story about a police officer, lady, who was convicted for some sort of unintentional homicide situation for leaving her kid in the car and her dying while she was fooling around with her boss. But I want to get back into it here to get my point across on it. But first, let's go to the phone calls. We've got Peter calling in from D.C. Peter, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey guys, I just wanted to talk about the state and its foreign policy and how it's really cultish. And so I actually I go to school in the Washington, D.C. area, and we had two so-called geniuses talk about foreign policy, notably in Syria, whether we should be in there or not. And for the most part, one of the individuals was saying, well, look, we didn't have a declaration of war, so we shouldn't be in there. But, I mentioned that I was a libertarian anarchist and an Austrian economist, and they all looked at me as I was some weird person. But nevertheless, when I mentioned that how we caused 9/11, and notably how we would intervene in the Middle East. For example, we supplied the Taliban with weapons in order to fight off the Soviets in the mid-'90s, and how we essentially bombed the heck out of Afghanistan during Bush Sr. Operation Desert Storm.
I don't consider myself in any way responsible for this, so when you use the terminology "we," it's a little confusing. I mean, no one.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry.
No one ever consulted me about that.
I presume you mean the U.S.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's a bad habit I have. I should really get on that. But yeah, the U.S. I'm really sorry about that.
Yeah, the United States government did all those things that you said. Sure.
Right. Exactly. You're right. Yeah, you're right. And I mentioned that, and these people just looked at me as, I'm just a moron. And
were they just unaware of this, or were they just in denial, or?
I think they were aware, because one of them was a experienced colonel, and I'm certain that they recall the actions that they did, and he was quite an older gentleman, so he for sure knows the operations that took place.
Well, they're probably annoyed that you don't buy into the line that they are public servants and they do your bidding. Ultimately, I don't know. That's really what it comes down to is they want you to be on board. And by the way, when you use the terminology "we," you are showing that you're on board to some extent. You're saying I was forced to do this act or that act, but you weren't. I mean, ultimately, they did it, and they didn't ask you. Nobody sent around a form or did a poll or any of those things. I'm just supposed to presume that all this stuff that's done in my name actually was done, and I've stopped falling for that trick.
Hey, I want to personally thank. I want to personally thank you for standing up and bringing that up to those folks, especially down there in the District of Criminals, where that whole economy just thrives off of this kind of bad behavior. And that's a brave thing you did, because you were essentially the one exposing the truth in a a society of treasonous lies. And you might a lot of people probably really thought awful of you because you even said that, because they in their own minds, a lot of these statists think it's okay to go bomb the crap out of other countries, because they don't want to, take the U.S. dollars that are being created out of thin air or whatever.
Yeah, one time, it's been quite a few years at this point, probably 3 or 4 years, my wife's best friend's husband is a full-bird colonel in the intelligence arm of, I think the DIA or something like that. I don't know exactly what, right? Like, I could die for saying where he actually has a job, but I don't know. And we stayed the night at their house. My wife warned her friend ahead of time. I guess her husband's friend, her friend's husband ahead of time. My husband's pretty anti-war, and the conversation can go off the rails if the wrong things are said. Essentially. And he's like, "Is he a student of history?" That was his response. And she said, "Yeah, actually, he loves history." And that was the only thing he said, right? Like, basically, this guy understood why I would come to the conclusions that I have come to surrounding the United States being involved in foreign conflicts and that sort of thing, simply because I read some history, which I guess the people that don't, the opposites of that is people that don't study history at all are just on board with this stuff. I don't really know. I guess they're just counting on people being ignorant.
And they're doomed to repeat history. Those who don't study history are doomed to repeat it. And which is history, best I can tell, just keeps happening again. It just keeps on repeating itself over and over again. I mean, all these wars are literally about, making sure that the U.S. dollar is, shoved down the throats of everyone around the world.
So how'd it go, Peter? Did they just stop calling on you or ask you to leave or what?
No, actually, what's actually kind of even more funnier was that the room was filled with some current and former guys in the Army, but now they serve as, I guess, staffers for neocon congressmen.
Sure.
And I just heard like a lot of gasps and oh my goodness, I can't believe he said that.
You weren't supposed to say that.
Oh yeah, you're not supposed to say that.
Right.
Are you telling me that U.S. foreign policy might have ramifications that are deadly for American citizens?
Blowback.
Right. I mean, it's an outrageous. It's a statement so clear and so obvious on its face that you can't say it, because truth is a crime in the empire of lies, right? It's treason in the empire of lies. That's what it ultimately comes down to. And these lockstep myrmidons are like, oh, I can't believe he said that. It's obvious. You're either the worst bigot in the world, or you understand that people will fight revolutions against foreign powers that intend to occupy their nation. That's what happened here. Yes, those people in those foreign countries, they want freedom to decide what goes on in their own government. They want to be able to institute tyranny over their own citizens. That's what they're looking for. That's what they've been told their whole lives that real people get to do. So when your government goes over there and it pretends that those people should not be able to make decisions for their own, even if they make bad decisions, the freedom to make a decision is the freedom to make a bad decision.
And speaking of blowback, at the debate there, when Ron Paul mentioned that the 9/11 was a result of CIA blowback, that's, if Google search Ron Paul blowback debate, and Rudy Giuliani just like flipped out about it, and but Rudy Giuliani's a scumbag, so I expect him to do that anyways.
Sure,
and he's not a student of history.
Well, I mean, look, these politicians may or may not know what reality is. It's not their job to talk about reality. It's their job to tell you lies.
Rudy Giuliani is essentially just a puppet for the war machine, and Ron Paul was the only one up there, speaking any truth, as always.
Thanks for the call, Peter. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
855-450-3733. Let's go to Alex calling in Texas. Alex, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hi there, scum. It's Alex Jones, Infowars.com. Mark, you got the cojones to talk to me for a second, boy?
I gotcha, AJ.
Oh, here we go. It's Mark Edge. Ain't it the edgiest edge? Mark there, Infowars.com. And how you doing there, Michael?
Oh, Alex, good to hear from you again.
Oh, it sure is, boy. And you were there with that transgender mutant earlier, just trying to molest our children and destroy the human family. I'm not going to take it. Now,
that's what it's all about.
That sure is there, boy. You shut your mouth unless I'm addressing you. Now, listen here, you little scumbags, you little fake libertarians. I'm a real libertarian, calling for Trump to institute martial law, calling for Democrat scum to be arrested and destroyed. That's libertarian. Now your little garbage radio liberty, I'm an individualist network. You understand that right there, boy?
So you're a Bill Weld libertarian? Is that what you're telling us? Because libertarian's a vague term now.
I don't know who you're talking about. I'm sorry, I don't know who Billy Mays or who you're talking about is, but I just want to tell you one thing right now. I recently fired Owen Benjamin for making jokes about Zionism and the Jays and all this other stuff. And I'm going to tell you right now, boy, I'm for freedom of speech. I'm for liberty. I'm for America, just like Trump. But if you dare...
Go to themorganreport.com and receive updates and insights you will not find anywhere else on the web. You will discover how to grow and protect your wealth, under all market conditions. The free Morgan Report provides interviews, webinars, question and answer sessions, plus mind-blowing videos. As David Morgan says, let my passion create your wealth. TheMorganReport.com. TheMorganReport.com.
Did you know you can legally exit the U.S. federal income tax system? Well, it's true, and thousands of American nationals are doing it. The 16th Amendment and the Internal Revenue Code are legal, but only in a limited jurisdiction. This is the basis behind the voluntary nature of the income tax. Learn the exit strategy provided by Congress. Find out more by visiting weissparis.com and watch our numerous videos. That's WEISS Paris.com.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Bitcoin.com is delighted to announce their latest partnership with the gift card specialists at eGifter. With many of the world's leading brands on their roster, it is now easier than ever to get the gift cards of your favorite brands with Bitcoin Cash. To get started, just follow these simple steps. Visit giftcards.bitcoin.com, pick the gift card you want, follow the instructions on your screen, and make your payment using your Bitcoin Cash wallet. Sit tight and your gift card will be delivered to you as soon as it's ready. That's giftcards.bitcoin.com.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Free Talk Live. You're free to call in, talk about whatever's on your mind. The number's 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And, well, let's go. First, before we go to the phones, I want to go to the phones, but I really should do this instead. I'm going to tell you about MyPillow. Now, MyPillow, not my specific pillow, that's the brand MyPillow, in my opinion, best pillow I've ever slept on. Now, obviously, I have not exhaustively gone through every pillow that there is in America, but I've used quite a few of them. Two things. First and most important, it holds your head and neck in the right position. It doesn't go, throughout the night, go sort of flatter and flatter, and your head ends up, cranked over to the side. If you got headaches on a regular basis, neck pain on a regular basis, it could very well be your pillow. It is worth getting a good pillow in order to prevent this from happening. MyPillow does that. Now, there are lots of pillows that can hold your head and the neck in the right position. You've just got to graduate from stop using a down pillow. For God's sakes, people, this is beyond the year 2000, right? We're in the new millennium here. Get rid of that old technology. It's a bad idea. The other thing that it does is, well, you can wash a MyPillow. Just think about all the disgusting things that are living in your sheets after a week. Well, your pillow never gets washed. What's going on in there? There's no risk. With a 60-day money-back guarantee, you've got nothing to lose. Go to MyPillow.com and get 2 MyPillow premium pillows for one low price. And you get free shipping on all orders when you use the coupon code FTL. Remember, if you don't like your MyPillow, you have 60 days to return it for a refund of your purchase price. That's MyPillow.com, promo code FTL. MyPillow.com, promo code FTL. Sarah, New Mexico, what's on your mind?
Yes, I just want to mention that, here in Albuquerque, we have many diverse, religious temples, as I mentioned, and we have even...
Is this a Chamber of Commerce thing?
They built the Islamic temple about 5 years ago.
Okay.
And we even have a Baha'i faith here.
Yeah, I've heard of this Baha'i stuff, right? Do you know anything about it?
Well, you know what? I actually went to some other meetings, but I'm still. Are they like a Islamic-based religion coming out of the Middle East?
They're coming out of the Middle East. I don't think they're Islamic.
Oh well, I got to I got to go to one of the $1 million homes in the Northeast by the mountains. They invited me, and I had some tea, and then for the lecture. But the being in the house was...
Is that the Baha'i lecture?
Well, yeah, a Baha'i meeting at home.
What'd they tell you?
So, but I don't really remember anything really distinctive, but all I knew that they were Middle Eastern, like Arabic descent.
Okay.
But I didn't know if they were anything different. I'm trying to figure out if it's like Islamic-based.
Well, I don't know that much about it. I do know that you go to the library regularly. Why don't you check out the Baha'i there, and you'll probably find out more than I could tell you. All I've done is ever seen is a Baha'i temple and met one guy whose parents were Baha'i. That's all I know.
You're beyond me. I've only heard of it.
Well, I'm just proud that Albuquerque has been so accepting that we have a Hindu temple, we have 2 Buddhist temples, we have Unitarians that welcome all faiths.
Well, it's the law. Don't they have to accept
Right, I don't know what they're being accepting about.
Because you can go to any major city and find all this stuff, I'm sure.
I'm sure that that's true in all the major cities. I mean, unless you're trying to do some kind of Chamber of Commerce thing where you're trying to get people to move to Albuquerque. Is that your plan?
No, I'm just saying it's not what I'm saying is that I'm not here to get people to move here.
Okay.
No, but I live here.
Well, it's a national show. That's what I was just kind of wondering is either, you can tell me about Baha'i because that is relevant to everybody who might be listening, or I suppose you could try to get people to move to Albuquerque and
be Baha'i.
Right, and then participate in the very sort of great diverse religious culture that you've got there, but otherwise I just don't understand. Are you trying to get people who might be listening in Albuquerque to check out other religious places?
Well, maybe I'm trying to include open-mindedness, like what the unit that maybe that's what I'm trying to expand.
Okay.
Instead of being taught like Catholicism is the only way. They don't talk to me because I accept all faith and things like that because the Christian church tells them to. But I'm just explaining that we have Jehovah's Witness temples here, we got the Mormon temples here, we got the Jewish temples here, look at how much diverse, and we got a Hindu temple now.
What I think is interesting about this, Sarah, is that there was a time in the not so distant past when people would say that those of different religions simply cannot live in proximity to each other. And now that happens all across America and all across Europe. I mean, I don't know where it happens else in the world, but it certainly happens lots of places in the world. People of different religions live in peace and harmony. It's not what they call social anarchy. That was the terminology that was thrown out, that if you try to get people of different religions to live next to each other, you'd have social anarchy.
Well, actually, yeah, social anarchy is exactly what's going on, because anarchy means no rulers.
Fine.
So they're not trying to rule one another in New York City or wherever. You got...
Albuquerque.
You got Jewish folks getting in to cabs, driven by Muslim or Islamic guys, and they have a great conversation about the weather, and the guy pays his bill, and everybody's happy.
Yeah, I think that the diversity is great.
Sounds like anarchy to me.
Thank you for the call, Sarah. 855-450-3733. Getting back into this story here from the Hattiesburg American, where a police officer is fooling around with her boss and leaves her kid in the patrol car. I guess the AC in the patrol car fails. The kid dies. It's really sad. 3-year-old strapped in. Awful stuff. The judge says, I don't know what I could ever do to you that could be worse than what you've already experienced. You'll forever be entombed in a prison of your own mind. I agree with the judge that the woman, in this case the police officer, the woman is a woman, is probably punished all she needs to be punished for this circumstance. I mean, maybe the worst thing that should be done to her is that the judge should force her to have a tubal ligation. You are now unqualified to have a child. Believe me, as a person who spent a little time in the pokey myself, I would rather have had a tubal, in my case, vasectomy than spend any time in prison. But, I could say this woman sounds unqualified today to be a parent. That doesn't mean that in the future she won't be qualified to be a parent. But I'm just saying that I don't think there's any particular point, any value that the people of Mississippi receive by incarcerating this woman for up to 20 years. That's what the prosecution's asking for. But what would happen if it was you and me?
Well, I'm sure there's examples of, regular folks who have done this.
And I don't know any of them that just get off with the hand slap or anything like that.
Oh, no.
I mean, the judges aren't commiserating with them about their loss. 855-450-3733. What would happen if it was you or me? Free Talk Live.
By now you know that wireless technology like cell phones do in fact pose dangers to the health and privacy of everyone. Block-It Pocket's wide range of products are unmatched in providing the protection you deserve. No scare tactics, just common sense. BlockItPocket.com offers quality American-made options to alleviate and eliminate these invisible dangers. Learn more at BlockItPocket.com or call 888-315-9618. BlockItPocket.com, enhancing health and privacy.
Do you feel like many of us? All the distractions in the world taking our minds and focus off what really needs to get done day to day? Well, Jeunesse has a dietary supplement called Mind to help with mental distraction, and it supports memory function. Go to GCNlife.com now to check it out. You're only at your best when your mind is at its best. Go to GCNlife.com or call toll-free 844-443-6637. That's GCNlife.com or 844-443-6637.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up in any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
Did you know we've taken our LRN.FM telephone listen line to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line? Now you can call 712-770-8447 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed. And you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 712-770-8447 and choose from the menu. 712-770-8447.
Could dropping bombs on Afghans without warning from terrifying robot airplanes that fly themselves actually hurt America's efforts to stabilize Afghanistan?
It's complicated. No, not at all. Actually, I think we need to stay the course. You don't change horses midstream, and you don't stop firing missiles from unseen death droids soaring high above the clouds just because a couple of schools get blown up.
We have got to find another way to obliterate this population.
What about flaming bulldozers or 50-foot tall tanks?
Let's do what we can for these civilians. I mean, why not name the drones Billy or Steve to make them seem less dispassionate?
Oh, that is a terrible idea. Billy is a horrible name for a drone.
They're now developing a 40-foot robot that actually looks more like an American soldier and also sprays lasers out of his eyes.
Well, at least that's a step forward.
Hey, look, as long as it fires missiles and bombs with very little accuracy and 0 Americans are at threat, I'm all for it.
Good point.
They should give it funny, floppy arms.
Yes.
Oh, it should spray candy out of its chest a few minutes before it starts shooting everything.
This is the Onion News Network.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You are free to call in and talk live about whatever is on your mind. The number is 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. It's Mark with you.
Jay.
And Michael.
Let's go to the phones, guys. Well, before we do that, I want to tell you about Bitcoin.com. Got to do my job here. Bitcoin.com is your premier source for everything Bitcoin related. I'm at Bitcoin.com probably every single day or darn close to it. They can help you choose a Bitcoin wallet. Now, I'm by no means a neophyte in the area of cryptocurrency, but if you are, this is the place to go. Because it's a deep and robust website. Bitcoin.com allows you to get a wallet, buy Bitcoin, shows you where you can spend Bitcoin, places like saveatpurse.com. You can also read the latest news or engage with the community in the Bitcoin forum. Learn more at bitcoin.com. It's bitcoin.com. They even got games there you can play with your Bitcoin. So there you go. Let's go to the phones. We've got the Christian Anarchist calling in on the Discord lines.
Hey, guys. I'm going to talk about the high cost of medicine.
All right.
I'm going to try and give some explanation as to why that is.
You work at a medical office.
We own a medical office, and so we started this business 14 years ago, and it was just me and my wife, and now we have like 21 employees. But here's why medicine is so expensive. When you have the insurance companies involved and the government involved, they find the way to make everything the most expensive way of doing things.
Yeah, the most complicated way of doing things.
Right.
And they add all kinds of paperwork.
Yeah, the paperwork is horrendous. And when I was young, and I used to go to the doctor, my mother would, if she had insurance, which a few of the times she did have insurance, but the way the insurance worked back then was we would pay the doctor $10, $20, whatever it was for the services, and then we had to go home, fill out the insurance form with the receipt, and mail it in, and then they would reimburse us.
That's true.
That's true. That was a reasonable way to do insurance. In other words, the doctor didn't have to mess with it. They had it wasn't any concern of theirs at all. But what you have now is the insurance companies basically, because of what they will pay and what they won't pay, that really forms what the treatment is. Now, here's what will happen. Some new procedure will show up. Like right now, they're doing a lot on varicose veins. We don't do it in our office, but just for instance, varicose veins is a big thing. So the doctors will get this procedure down that helps varicose veins. The Medicare and other insurance companies will agree to pay whatever, say $650 for this procedure that takes them maybe 45 minutes. So that's set. Now they've got the price set. But what happens is, because medicine is just like anything else, when people do it, they find better and faster ways of doing things.
Sure.
And they improve, they get better. So what happens is they get better and they wind up doing the procedure in 15 minutes. And then the government pays the high price for 4 years or whatever. And then they get wise to the deal. And then they say, wait a minute, that's costing, you guys are getting way too much money. And
they bring it down.
You made $2 million last year. So then they start regulating and putting additional burdens on the doctors. And basically they make it so that they stifle the industry. But really, if the insurance wasn't there at all, and there was no payments made by the government and no control by the government, you would wind up with the best care you could get for the least amount of money. Now, and it would be a tiered system. So right now, whoever goes to the doctor expects the best care possible. I mean, that matters. If you don't have any money, when you go to the doctor, you expect the Cadillac service. And that's anti-market. You should be able to pay for a lower level of service, like take hospitalization. When I was young, I was in a ward of probably 8 kids when I had my tonsils out. You can't find a ward anymore. They don't have wards in this country because
everybody has a private room.
They've taken that option away. Now you should be able to say, you know what? I want a cheaper hospital stay. I want to stay in a ward. But you can't do that because it's not even offered anymore. It's not offered because the insurance companies have formed what medicine is supposed to look like.
Yep.
They don't let the market behave, and therefore the cost goes through the roof, and you wind up with maybe not as good a care. Now, I think the medical care is pretty darn good in this country, but then I'm involved in it, so maybe I have a little bit of prejudice.
Yeah, I think the medical care is good. It's just extremely costly, and
it is way too costly. And we could bring our costs way down if we just went cash only. If we just tomorrow morning we just opened up the door and said, you know what, we're not taking any more insurance. We're just going to go straight cash. It's going to cost you $50.
The problem is that you lose a lot of customers in the process. And so, I mean, what that demonstrates, as you're trying to show here, is that there are a lot of people that rely on somebody else to pay their medical costs. And that never goes well. The person that's using their money to pay for something that's for them always looks for the best deal, and that's what the market looks for. If you've got a person that's using somebody else's money, they're probably gonna provide themselves a little better service than they would otherwise. Hey Jay, here's some money. Go out and buy yourself a nice dinner tonight, right? You're gonna get the dessert. You're gonna get the appetizer. You're gonna do something like that, whereas you might not have done that otherwise.
My chiropractor did something. What she stopped taking insurance because she literally got to the point to where between her and her husband were spending more time dealing with paperwork,
right?
And that they were considering hiring someone, and to hire someone competent was literally going to cost like $50,000-$60,000 a year,
right?
And then to hire a firm to do it, to like outsource this was insane money. She's like, you know what? I'm only doing cash, or debit card, and she's
like
okay.
CBD
She's doing
oil.
okay.
It takes CBD oil, for instance. Right now, you can get CBD oil, and it's not terribly expensive. It's still kind of expensive because it's brand new. But if you would let the market function, CBD oil will go down. But the market is not going to function. What's going to happen is the government is seeing how effective CBD oil is. So they're going to come in with the FDA and start regulating it. You wait and see. I'm predicting that in a few years' time, The government is going to make CBD oil a regulated commodity, a regulated medicine. The price is going to go sky high. They're going to make it so that only certain drugstores can have it. It's the process of paying off the politicians so that you can lock up the market. And this is what we're probably going to see with something like CBD oil. And they do it with all of these other drugs, you know.
Well, here's the thing with CBD oil. I have friends, when I was in Colorado, I have friends that actually grew hemp, an acre of hemp for some guys to make CBD oil. It's a specific strain for epilepsy. So at least what's cool about CBD oil is we can grow hemp in our backyards. You know, men with guns might give you a hard time about it, and we can make it ourselves. And this is, going to be a really hard market, I think, for the government to capture, because the black market for CBD oil, THC products has already existed.
That would be the gray market.
Well, now it'll be a gray market because it's not, totally illegal. But like in Colorado, when they legalized cannabis, it was like, 30 to 40% or 50% or more, or even 100% more to go buy it at the store than it was to buy it from, the guy you've been buying it from for years.
Right.
Anyways, and at least with, thank God hemp grows so well just about anywhere.
It's called a weed for a reason. Gene, thanks for the call. Appreciate it. 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE here on Free Talk Live. 100% is all you have to do to figure out what happened to the medical system in the United States is search on Google the impossible healthcare solution. The impossible healthcare solution, and you'll just see how the government, the prices have gone up with government intrusion directly. They track directly, but people say the solution is more government. Free Talk Live.
From the first letter of Captain Mark. History is full of flowery documents claiming to limit the power of the crown, but these poetic social contracts have been impotent to prevent the predation. Limited government is a lie they use to keep us submissive. The crown cannot be trusted to abide by its founding charters, nor its treaties, nor even its own rules. The essence of the crown is centralized violence, and I've had enough. That's why I raised my black banner. I am no revolutionary. My aim is not to reset the cycle of violence, but to break it. My aim is an evolved society, invisible to the crown, not a new hierarchy, but decentralized networks with no central figure for the crown to target. If you want your servile life, keep it, but we will not submit to the crown's agenda. And when you are ready to stop being its beast of burden, ready for adventure and opportunity, join us at pirateswithoutborders.com.
Complement your health with hemp-derived cannabinoid oil. We've always believed that the closer to Earth, the better it is for our bodies. Our hemp-derived cannabinoid oil is phytocannabinoid rich, full spectrum, and organically grown. Finally, hemp made easy, clean, and effective. GCNhemp.com or call 877-878-4203. That's right, we cut through the red tape. It's now available at GCNhemp.com or call 877-878-4203.
You haven't experienced yogurt until you've tried a Mossy, embodying health and flavor in a true whole milk, green-fed dairy beverage. Every sip pays homage to our old world cows and the ancient culturing methods their milk benefits from. With over 30 probiotics, a Mossy's undeniably nutritious, refined, cultured sensation bolsters your health and awakens your passion for dairy. A Mossy's so good, and you need to try it. Contact your Longevity distributor or call 877-878-4203 or go to GCNteam.com.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you got to keep you and your get intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
When you hear the word lobbyist, you probably think about greedy corporations, but not all lobbyists are the same. Some are fighting for the freedoms you hold dear. Liberty Lobby LLC is doing just that in New Hampshire, working hard to represent you, not some special interest group. You can help by going to libertylobby.info, where your contribution will give us the tools we need to ensure that your voice is heard. Visit libertylobby.info today to find out more.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. You can call in, talk about whatever's on your mind. It's Mark with you.
Jay.
And Michael.
855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. Let's go to the phones here in just a second, guys. But first, I want to tell you about ForkFest. ForkFest is a camping event up here in New Hampshire. It's from June the 13th to June the 18th, and it's at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. It's a place called Lancaster. ForkFest is a fork of other camping parties in the woods, and you're invited to come and create whatever experiences you'd like to have for other people to have, or just come and camp. ForkFest is decentralized. No one's in charge. It's just up to you to create what happens. Or you can simply relax and go camping with other liberty-minded folks. You want to serve food? Charge money? By all means. For more information to connect with other ForkFesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or forkfest.com, go to, ForkFest Forum, visit forkfest.party. It's forkfest.party. Jay, you're going to have man camp there, right?
Yeah, I'm creating a man camp where I'm going to be doing some blacksmithing, some welding. You want to learn how to use an oxygen acetylene torch. You want to MIG weld. You want to make some functional iron art, like hanging basket holders and towel racks and maybe horseshoe coat racks. We're going to have all kinds of things. You go to forkfest.party. In the forum there, I've started a thread where it's listing all these things. I'm starting to put a schedule together. And I really love, I'm on the ForkFest Telegram chat, I love how it is coming together so well. I mean, people are just like taking on, just out of the blue, just taking on responsibilities, like they're making maps of the campground, overlaying them with where certain vendors are being set up and what's going on. I mean, this is coming together.
It's a bunch of doers
nice.
there. There's no doubt, right?
Yeah, very much doers. And it is doers. Only doers are going to participate when it is up to you to do it and not up to somebody else to do it. To where other festivals, it's like, oh, everybody takes care of this and you pay for it to go in. So you can be some hipster with some money and just show up and do it. Like ForkFest, you actually have to do something to make something happen.
Just the best camping event.
Yes.
Forkfest.party. Let's go to Matthew calling in from Louisiana. Matthew, you're on Free Talk Live.
Good evening, gentlemen. So, have y'all had a chance to see Senator Mike Lee's epic takedown of the Green New Deal?
Yes, I have. I have seen this. We did talk about this on the Call to Freedom, which is the show right before this on LRN.FM. So that's in the archives there.
Political comedy gold.
Oh yes, he is now a general in the meme war.
Absolutely.
So give me some idea what happened here.
Oh, he does some relations to cartoon characters. I don't really want to be a spoiler, but something about,
Well, you got to get people to listen, though. It's got to be just a little bit more than it's great.
Tease us enough so we go Google it.
Right. So basically we have to, I'd say more YouTube it, but basically more along the lines of we have to corner the market on the giant seahorse
Giant
because otherwise the Chinese are going to beat us to it.
I don't know I don't get any of this. Michael, can you tell me what happened here?
I will try to. So, what's the senator's name?
Mike Lee.
Mike
Lee from
Utah. Yeah, from Utah.
Just go ahead and spoil. I mean, for goodness sake.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So basically, because you can't use air transportation up in Alaska, where they use a lot of airplanes to get around during the wintertime, you're going to have to instead use tauntauns.
Tauntauns. That's right.
You're right. Right.
Which
It might be a little difficult to get, but they're useful as shelter, just in case,
From the ice planet
Hoth.
Documentary
about that.
Yeah.
Right. From the planet Hoth, obviously. So there's a few things we have to overcome, like faster than light travel, time travel, a few things. But he doesn't mention any of that. But then there is, in order to get to Hawaii, we'll just have to see if we can get Aquaman to help us out with the seahorses.
Yeah, we get trained seahorses from Atlantis.
I think Vermin Supreme's going to take advantage of this with his, free ponies party.
Oh my God!
I mean,
absolutely.
AOC essentially, is trolling Vermin Supreme here. As far as I'm concerned, if she's been paying attention with the Green New Deal.
Oh yeah, I can see it now. This is like instead of free ponynomics, seahorseonomics.
It's worth pointing out, for those that might think that somehow the world was better when we all rode horses, there are plenty of stories from the mid to late 1800s where New York, London, the largest cities in the world at the time,
New Orleans,
were the people were up to their knees in horse poo. I mean, they didn't know what to do. They didn't know what to do. It's like the great catastrophe. They had no way to handle all this. No, you do not want a world where we're running around on horses. It may seem somehow better or whatever. I know they do it in the science fiction. No, it doesn't work. It's a bad idea.
I've cleaned many stalls and many pastures, and I've done a lot of driving of horses and studied a lot of the history. And one of the biggest downfalls of the city before the automobile was the fact that the horse manure was all over the place. And then what would happen is it would rain, so it turns into like a mush, like it almost turns into like wet plaster. And then sun comes out and it dries and it hardens. And then the bugs, eggs start. I mean, the bugs that you have from horse manure and as pig manure is just extreme, and it's a perfect
little spot for them,
for the bugs, and then the carrying of diseases and all the stuff. Yes, these cars that are burning this so-called fossil fuel, which I hate that term for oil, are much cleaner than horse and buggies.
May not be a fossil.
It's definitely not a fossil fuel.
Right. Well, hydrocarbon probably is a better term. And Ocasio-Cortez was recently caught, I can't remember where it was, but coming out of this giant SUV that she was being driven around in, after telling everybody that they need to cut down on travel, more or less, in order to preserve the environment.
Guys, can I interrupt for a second?
Yeah, go ahead.
There's a reason why pointing out hypocrisy with these people doesn't work. And it's a friend of mine from way back in the day explained it to me, because he comes from the old days of the Black Panthers, where they all believed in the Marxist ideal. They will cut their quote unquote leader men a tremendous amount of slack about what they're entitled to.
They must be. They must be willing to, in their own minds, be hypocritic. I mean, to me, I'd say we'd all be better off if the politicians weren't allowed to use anything with a combustion engine. Let's start there.
Well, you'll end up with Ronald Reagan on a Velociraptor.
Fine. If they can put a politician on a Velociraptor, get him into to please bring all the deadly lizards you want to bring into the Capitol building. Please, I'm begging you.
Yeah,
thanks for the call, Matthew.
Parasites there. We need to clean up these parasites.
Yeah, I mean, if these people would simply, this is what I was trying to point out with this previous thing about the police officer probably going to be let off, slapped in the wrist for the killing of their child by accident, the manslaughter of their child, is that There is no rule of law. I know. I'm a Republican, people. I know you guys love the rule of law, and I'm with you. If we could have a society where everybody had to follow the same rules, that'd be awesome. But put away the unicorns and the velociraptors, the seahorses and the tauntauns for a minute. Stop playing with your little imaginary toys. It's never going to happen. The cops don't have to follow their own rules. The politicians darn sure don't have to. Come on. In a world where you can't get a cop to pull a cop over for running through a stop sign, you think that politicians are going to make it so that they and captains of industry have to follow the same rules you do? Stop acting like a serf.
Well,
Stop it.
This is why people become politicians, because they lust for this power over others. I constantly say government is nothing but a platform for psychopaths who want to rule people.
Yeah, that's it. And once you get into that power, even if you got in for the very best reasons, I presume Ocasio-Cortez and Sanders and lots of these people got in for the very best reasons. Power corrupts.
I've seen this in my little Bondsville, Massachusetts fire department that had 21 members, and when a guy became a lieutenant, he just started bossing everybody around, and the only reason he became a lieutenant is because nobody wanted to be a lieutenant.
Sure.
And he just thought he was on a power trip. Oh, yeah, you wash that truck, you do this. He just instantly, like drop of a hat.
Yeah, well, it wasn't like that at my department. All the officers had to wash the truck. I mean, they were assigned a truck and they had to wash it. But not everyone's the same. But yeah, I'm sure that's true. 855-450-3733. 855-450-FREE. Free Talk Live.
She seems happier. Her fur is so much shinier, silkier, softer. She has really mellowed a lot.
Sheba is 105 lean pounds of shiny, smooth, happy dog for life.
The shedding has stopped. The itching has stopped.
Since 2001, we've helped more than 250,000 dogs get over their nutritional deficiency miseries.
And saved our customers bazillions in vet bills.
Everything we tried failed except the Dynovite.
Come to Dynovite for help.
DINOVITE.com.
If you want the dog to be healthy, you got to feed it something healthy.
The omega-3 fatty acids, flaxseed, zinc, alfalfa, the digestive enzymes that are cooked out of regular dog food. Dynovite is nutrition.
Dynovite for life.
Don't let your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy.
Come to Dynovite for help.
859-428-1000.
859-428-1000.
DINOVITE.com.
Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is the Liberty Beat, your daily source for Liberty news and activist updates. Produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. Online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow with your latest edition of the Liberty Beat. Gold is trading at $1,316. Silver is trading at $15.37, and Bitcoin is trading around $4,009. Today's prices are brought to you by InnoScale. Take off with Managed Cloud. Looking for a safe, secure way to store your important files online? Then let InnoScale handle it for you. Their high-availability cloud servers are the perfect solution for clients needing one or more secure, scalable servers with built-in hardware failover protection. For details, see them online at InnoScale.net. In the news, A new report from Amnesty International reveals that U.S. airstrikes from aircraft and drones have increased in Somalia, resulting in the deaths of at least 14 civilians. The Conscious Resistance, citing the Mind Unleashed, says that due to a literal blackout of all news related to the ongoing wars waged by the U.S. military, most Americans can't name the nations in which the military is currently engaged in conflict or dropping bombs. The report, titled The Hidden U.S. War in Somalia, details the history of terrorist attacks by al-Qaeda and al-Shabaab, the history of U.S. military involvement in Somalia, the current numbers on drone strikes and the impact on Somalis. The report also outlines conclusions about how the U.S. military should approach the situation moving forward. The report shows the U.S. military has tripled the annual rate of drone strikes in Somalia since April 2017. The number of strikes in 2018 was higher than strikes taking place in Libya and Yemen combined. Despite the increase in strikes, the U.S. military continues to claim that no civilians have died. The Amnesty International report investigates 5 incidents in Lower Subel, Somalia, in which 14 civilians were killed and 8 injured. The Liberty Beat is sponsored in part by Brave Botanicals, high-quality kratom and CBD at reasonable prices with excellent customer service. Brave Botanicals is activist-owned and mission-driven, fighting for your right to consume plant-based medicine and natural remedies. Find out more at mybravebotanicals.com. And listen up, Liberty Beat listeners. Right now, you can save 10% off your purchase by using promo code SNLS at checkout. This is the latest edition of the Liberty Beat, online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow reporting. Your news now continues. Documents obtained by the American Civil Liberties Union reveal that local police are helping ICE spy on Americans. That word comes in a report from The Mind Unleashed, which says that in May of 2018, the ACLU of Northern California filed a Freedom of Information Act lawsuit against the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement after the agency refused to comply with requests for records related to a massive automatic license plate reader database operated by a company called Vigilant Solutions. The records reveal that local law enforcement agencies are helping ICE by sharing residents' location information with the federal agency. The documents reveal that more than 9,000 ICE agents have access to the license plate reader database as a result of a $6.1 million contract with Vigilant Solutions. The Verge first reported on the contract in 2018. In yet another major move from the Lawyers Committee for 9/11 Inquiry, architects and engineers for 9/11 Truth, and 9/11 victim family members Robert McIlvaine and Barbara Krukowski-Rastelli, a joint federal lawsuit has been filed to assess any evidence the FBI may have known about that contributed to the destruction of the towers on 9/11, which may have been kept from Congress. The complaint cites the failure of the FBI and its 9/11 Review Commission to assess key 9/11-related evidence that the FBI can be shown to have had or been aware of. According to the press release issued by architects and engineers for 9/11 Truth, the evidence is relevant to the 9/11 Review Commission's and the FBI's compliance with the mandate from Congress, which should have been assessed by the FBI and 9/11 Review Commission and reported to Congress. The complaint also cites the destruction by the FBI of evidence related to the high fivers. Support for the Liberty Beat comes from the Conscious Resistance Network, featuring videos, news reports, and articles from a spiritual anarchist perspective. Experience the Conscious Resistance at theconsciousresistance.com. How would you like to have your business featured on the Liberty Beat? You can. It's simple. Just send an email to libertybeat@snls.news for details. This is the Liberty Beat, produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. The Liberty Beat is online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow reporting with the latest edition of the Liberty Beat, reminding you, spread liberty with a smile.
Inclement weather prevents a liar from getting to work, and a lunchbox is mostly medication. Sources across the nation impatiently reported today that the 24-hour news cycle seemed to be taking forever, telling reporters that the continuous coverage from MSNBC, CNN, and other news sources was simply not continuous enough. Frustrated Americans demanded more panel coverage, around-the-clock bulletins, and breaking reactions from Twitter.
It's like, sure, I have 5 channels of unending news updates constantly flooding my screen, but each one of those only has one slow-moving news ticker. Why not 3 or 4 running at triple speed? Honestly, these networks need to understand that I can't just wait around all day for minute-by-minute coverage.
And in this week's science news, a new report finds that lake ice grows safer to venture out on with each beer consumed. In other news, the beauty industry announces a new initiative to make women self-conscious about their palms. A beautiful cinnamon bun is too good for this world, too pure. And a picky eater is 38.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It is Free Talk Live. This is the third hour of Free Talk Live. You are free to call in and talk live here on the radio. It's Mark with you.
Jay.
And Michael.
Let's go to the phones, guys. That's what we do here on Free Talk Live. Go to David in New Mexico. David, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, yeah, let me begin a reply to a conversation about me on last night's show after I was cut out of the conversation.
So none of the people are who had the conversation are on the show, right?
That doesn't, it doesn't matter. I'm talking about things that I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the content.
Okay.
So I don't need those people. They can listen if they want to, but I'm not talking about them, so they're not being cut out of anything. I'm going to talk about the content of what they said after they cut me out of the conversation so that I couldn't respond.
You sound angry.
So do I sound angry?
Yeah, a little bit.
Just a bit.
Perfect. Thank you for the segue, because that's exactly what the theme of this discussion was going to be about. It was going to be about anger. That's the main point. For instance, I was just about to go here, but let me go there now. Since this is a very Jew-centric program and media,
Free Talk Live is?
Say again?
Free Talk Live is Jew-centric?
Yeah, actually it is.
You want to state the evidence to support that claim?
All right.
Perfect segue again, because I got the evidence typed out on the screen in front of me, which I was going to share with you unsolicited, but since you had the foresight to solicit it, let me share it with you now. On yesterday's program, actually immediately on today's program, just a few minutes ago, you mentioned AOC and Sanders. Those are the two people you mentioned, Mark.
Yep.
They're both Jewish.
I thought Alexander Cortez was like Puerto Rican or something.
Well, most Jews are not 100% genetically Jewish. Most Jews.
Okay, we got to define Jewish now.
Now you got to have
confused. Why don't I've already done my research. Why don't you do your own research on yourself? I'll make the assertion again. AOC is as Jewish as she is anything else. Now let me move on to what I wanted to say. So, on yesterday's program, on your show here, let me look at the list here. You mentioned in yesterday's program Robert Kraft, Jussie Smollett, Bernie Sanders, AOC, the college admissions scandal, which is Rick Singer, Raya Zobel.
Singer, yeah, Singer, right.
Yeah, Rick Singer, Raya Zobel, Eric Rosen, Kaplan, and that was all in one program.
Are all these people Jewish?
Yeah.
Okay. So what do you draw? What conclusion do you draw from that?
Well, that there is an inordinate involvement in higher aspects of the functioning of our society, in inordinate representation of Jewish folks, and that's not the point of my call. That's a side note.
All right.
Okay. That's a side note, but I'm answering your question.
All right. We're 3 minutes in. Can we get to the point of the call then?
Everything that I say is a point.
Okay.
We're not going to conclude. This is a thesis, not a simple statement of one paragraph. So we're not going to get through it all anyway. We never have. I've never gotten through everything that I wanted to say on your program. I don't expect you to get through it all. I'm not that simplistic.
Okay.
And feel free to make fun of me and mock me, since that's what people do anyway.
Well,
it doesn't bother
move up to New Hampshire, become a host. I don't know what to tell you. I can only, I can only give you so much time.
Why would you want me as a host?
I don't know. You claim to be Jewish at one point, and we love that here on Free Talk Live. It gets our checks from Soros flowing.
All right. Actually, I didn't claim to be Jewish. I said that my father was a Jewish refugee out as a child out of Nazi Germany. That's what I said.
All right. Sounds like you're claiming to be Jewish there, but all right.
Well, you don't understand how the Jews are all psychically educating you right now. You're only a Jew
if you're matriarchal.
If your mother was a Jew,
right?
Or if you claim the Jewish religion, if you convert to the Jewish religion, or you're born into it and you accept it.
All right.
Okay?
Well,
if you're
as a goy, I'm going to call you half Jewish.
Well, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not half Jewish. My father was Jewish because his mother was Jewish.
All right.
That's what the fact is. That makes me not.
I thought if you rejected Jesus as your Lord and Savior, or didn't believe that Jesus was a Messiah, by default you were a Jew. I mean, I got called a Jew 3 times in the past week, so I guess I'm at least some percentage Jewish.
Yeah, well, use whatever definition you want. What that you want, I'll use.
Everybody wants to be Jewish until it's time to do Jewish things.
What is a Jewish thing?
I don't know. Go to temple, I guess. Thanks for the call, David. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. I'm sure there's something more to it, but, whatever. We'll let him continue his thesis on later. I want to go on to this this situation in Florida from TampaBay.com. House committee passes amendment for bill along party lines. So for those that don't know, last year, Florida passed a referendum. In order to do any kind of referendum in Florida, you've got to go run it through it's got to be a constitutional amendment. It has to pass by 2/3. 2/3 of voters in Florida believed that what they wanted to do was make it so that ex-cons can vote. Florida is one of the few states in the union where ex-cons can still not vote. Now, I'm not talking about somebody who's on probation or anything like that. I'm talking about people who've completed all commitments.
They're off paper, they're done.
Right. If you get convicted of kiting a check in Florida, you could not vote unless the governor allowed you to, or this bill got passed. And one of the claims is that George Bush made it to president because his brother was running the state in Florida, and he appointed some lady who was, a political operative. I can't remember her name off the top of my head. I'm sure there's Democrats screaming at their radios right now. Her name. More or less that she made it so the convicts couldn't vote. I could not vote in Florida. They caught me 2 times on the rolls back in the day attempting to vote in Florida because, I don't know, I want to vote. I mean, I wanted to vote. I'm that kind of guy. I give blood. I want to vote. I'm community-minded. I volunteer at my fire department. What do you want from me? I want to be involved. So,
but they wouldn't let you.
They would not let me. Now that the voters in the state of Florida, by a supermajority, have changed the Constitution so that ex-cons can vote, the legislators in Florida are attempting to make it as difficult as possible.
Yeah, I can imagine. You get quite
legislators do not like doing the will of the people.
Well, and when you're in jail, you get a jailhouse law degree, and you start to learn a lot of things about how, corrupt the system is, especially if you're in a prison where there's someone that doesn't think they belong there because they didn't hurt anybody or whatever. And I know anytime I've ever sat in a jail cell, I've just made it a point to educate everybody that was around me that would listen.
Well, people who look at who votes are they look at demographics, right? Demographics are a pretty good indicator of how you're going to vote. And they don't like the demographics of ex-cons in Florida. So specifically, now these are going to largely be low information voters, and they're probably not going to turn out for regular elections. But when it comes time for that presidential election every 4 years, they're probably going to turn out. And Florida will go from a pretty consistent red state, although it's a bit on the borderline, to a pretty consistent blue state if this passes. I understand that that's true. I'm a libertarian, though, and I'm a person who operates by reason. I'm not looking at the outcomes here. As a Republican, I get what the Republicans are looking at, but they're looking at outcomes, and the ends do not justify the means. If you're going to tax these people, they should be able to vote. Solution? Stop taxing them.
Yes. I'm happy not to vote if I don't have to participate
Yeah, if I didn't
in
have to pay
taxation.
taxes, I would not vote. Yeah.
855-450-3733.
I take it.
855-450-FREE.
And not to mention the shedding, I would vacuum the carpet 3 times a week. Frodo was scratching all night long, bouncing on the side of the bed, keeping me awake the whole entire night from all the scratching and chewing. It kind of makes you neurotic.
Does your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy?
Mounds and mounds of fur all over the place.
Come to Dynovite for help.
DINOVITE.com.
If you want the dog to be healthy, you got to feed it something healthy.
Dynovite is nutrition. The omega-3 fatty acids. Flaxseed, zinc, alfalfa.
Our vitamins and enzymes replace the nutrients cooked out of most commercial dog foods.
He gobbles it up. He's not up all night scratching. His shedding is minimal, and it is such a pleasure to have my calm, relaxed, non-shedding puppy back. And I have to thank Dynovite for that.
Don't let your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy.
Come to Dynovite for help.
859-428-1000.
859-428-1000. DINOVITE.com.
Go to themorganreport.com and receive updates and insights you will not find anywhere else on the web. You will discover how to grow and protect your wealth under all market conditions. The free Morgan Report provides interviews, webinars, question and answer sessions, plus mind-blowing videos. As David Morgan says, let my passion create your wealth. Themorganreport.com. Themorganreport.com.
Did you know you can legally exit the U.S. federal income tax system? Well, it's true, and thousands of American nationals are doing it. The 16th Amendment and the Internal Revenue Code are legal, but only in a limited jurisdiction. This is the basis behind the voluntary nature of the income tax. Learn the exit strategy provided by Congress. Find out more by visiting weissparis.com and watch our numerous videos. That's WEISS Paris.com.
Hey guys, Mark Claire here, lionsofliberty.com, where we strive to advance the ideas of liberty daily. We bring you the Morning Roar. That's right, every Monday to Friday we'll have a brand new edition of the Morning Roar, where we provide a roundup of some news stories that you may not find in the mainstream media or even in your typical social media newsfeed. We find stories that relate to the ideas of liberty and provide you with our liberty perspective on them. Every Monday, we have our longest-running feature, Mondays with Murray, named after the great libertarian Murray Rothbard, where we'll examine an article or an excerpt from his works and help convey his view, along with our little spin as well. We wrap it all up every Friday with Felony Friday, where our own John Odermatt goes out and takes a look at some sort of felony. There's felonies committed every day, you know, whether it's a felony committed by the police, a politician, or even an average citizen. You can find all of this and so much more over at lionsofliberty.com. Advancing the ideas of liberty daily.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
Did you know you can legally exit the U.S. federal income tax system? Well, it's true, and thousands of American nationals are doing it. The 16th Amendment and the Internal Revenue Code are legal, but only in a limited jurisdiction. This is the basis behind the voluntary nature of the income tax. Learn the exit strategy provided by Congress. Find out more by visiting weissparis.com and watch our numerous videos. That's WEISS Paris.com.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. You can call in anytime you want. The number is 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. It's Mark with you.
Jay.
And Michael.
Let's go to the phones here, guys. Before I do, I want to tell you about AnyPay. AnyPay is a point-of-sale software for accepting cryptocurrency in your business. So they make it really, really easy for you. They make it so easy. You just go to helpmetakebitcoin.com. Helpmetakebitcoin.com, and you're accepting crypto at your business. It's that really that easy. There's no excuses at this point. It's very, very easy. It can operate with your point of sale software. You can they do a sale and then it goes through AnyPay. Helpmetakebitcoin.com. You're set up. You're ready to go. You don't have to be tracked. Nobody has to know who your sale's coming from or anything like that. Helpmetakebitcoin.com. Let's go to the Discord lines. Hi, T Libertarian. You're on Free Talk Live.
Yo, it's Mortified Penguin. You can hear me all right?
Yeah, we hear you great. What's on your mind?
Okay, yeah, last night I was, the wrong thing was unmuted. But yeah, I just wanted to continue to talk about the healthcare system. I actually listened to a pretty long piece on NPR about somebody who wrote a book about the healthcare system, and the horror stories that they told about the healthcare system in the U.S. was just amazing. Like one person I believe was in the San Francisco Bay Area. I'll try to
let me guess. On NPR, it was all about why we need a single payer.
No, I mean they have pretty balanced perspectives, but it's basically saying about the issues. I mean, it's really like this catch-22 Kafka-esque nightmare that you go through when you're unfortunate enough to have to end up in an ER.
Yeah,
like a person was hit by a city bus.
Oh my!
A pole hanging off of a city bus, knocked out cold.
Gosh.
And then asked, like, I might be getting the stories mixed up, but basically, they were knocked out. They showed up in the ER, asked to be sent to the hospital in network, and then was told by a surgeon that came in after they had treated him that you're going to need emergency surgery to fix this jaw wound, a head wound, or whatever. But while the hospital was in network, the surgeon wasn't, and he performs the surgery, and next thing you know, he's stuck with this huge bill, or like somebody gets knocked out cold, or someone's in an accident, and they either can't take the person to the in-network hospital, they have to take him to the hospital for the indigent people, and then he gets stuck with the $24,000 bills because he supposedly can pay, which he couldn't, or you say it's in network, and then you get hit with all these extra fees because they really weren't in network, and you're lying there bleeding, half dying, and you're trying to say, please take me in the ambulance, please take me to an in-network hospital, and then you end up, it's just crazy.
Thanks a lot, Nixon.
What'd Nixon do?
He signed the HMO Act.
Oh, I see.
Which established HMOs and set up this whole network, out-of-network garbage.
Well, one of the things is the government got involved with you can blame the 90% tax bracket. The 90% tax bracket made it so that businesses wanted to attract high-end employees, and the way to do that was to offer them things rather than money. So they got, optical, dental, medical, company car, all these things. Whatever you want to do.
All these perks.
Yeah, make a mogul look good. Well, then labor sees that management is getting, these great things. They want medical. They want optical. They want dental. Well, aren't they just as good? And, admittedly, they're just as good a person. It's just that the company wasn't paying them that because they were paying them that basically because they had to. That's the only way they could attract them. Paying them additional money beyond the tax bracket wasn't going to attract the employee that they were looking for, because you're offering them a dime on the dollar at that point, because the government's going to take the other 90 cents. So as the government's continued to intrude, they keep on trying to put band-aids and band-aids on, and they're the dike, she's a cracking.
Yeah, I mean, tying healthcare to employment is actually really disadvantageous for the working class. And the increased there used to be many, I'm talking about over 100 years ago, there used to be many different options for people to be taken care of. We all are human beings. We all have bodies. We all require healthcare. And to make it this thing that's just become completely out of reach for normal people without going through this huge system, and you have no idea if you'll come out unscathed. And a lot of these were these ridiculous bills, $24,000 for this random a small emergency, and then when the author contacted the hospitals, they would basically drop it once they made it. The author made inquiries on behalf of those people. But we all have a demand for this. It's one of the most high in demand things, and it should be ubiquitous. It should be everywhere. Supply should be able to easily meet demand, but it's been overregulated to the point where it's becoming this thing that, I mean, I just can't even describe something that everyone has a demand for, and yet it's not. There's nothing to meet market demand. It's ridiculous.
Well, there is 6,000 people per day cross from the United States to Mexico to get dental work done. So, the problem is you got to go to Mexico to get, inexpensive dental work.
I went to the doctor while I was in Mexico. It was free.
Free? How'd that work?
Well, I went to I had what they call the turistas, which is basically, my stomach had not yet adapted to the biome that was Acapulco. And
did you drink the water?
It probably isn't that, but that's the shorthand for what happened. The shorthand for what happened is I drank the water, but probably not. Anyway, it's probably has to do with people not having the same sanitary practices as far as washing their hands after they use the bathroom that I do. Whatever the case may be. So I went to the doctor, and he said, "Yeah, take some charcoal tablets." I'd like to know whoever came up with this idea of let's eat burnt wood. That'll take care of my upset tummy. But I took charcoal tablets, and it took care of everything just as he said it would right off. And thank goodness for that guy. He was just working for the pharmacy. So I mean, what is a doctor but a pill pusher? Largely, I mean, there's surgeons, but most doctors these days that you're going to go see for a problem is going to be a pill pusher. They at least acknowledge that he's a pill pusher. They put him on the side of the pharmacy. Then he recommends the pills that you're going to go get. I went in and I bought those pills. I bought a bunch of others too because I needed them. And you don't need a prescription to get a whole bunch of different pills in Mexico, and they're cheaper, a lot cheaper.
So that's free market.
If you went to a hospital in the U.S., what would you have? Maybe a $12,000 bill, $15,000 bill.
Oh, for what
maybe a couple chocolate pills.
I don't know. I presume it would have been a couple of hundred. Would be my guess, but.
Well, if you went to
you never know. There's no transparency in pricing. You have no idea going into it.
It's outrageous.
It's not a market.
They don't have any idea. They don't know what things cost. They actively try not to know what things cost.
So there's walk-in clinics around here you can go to, which would be the couple $100 thing. But, I remember when I was a little kid, it was common practice for a lot of people, because there wasn't really any walk-in clinics in Western Mass at the time. Oh, we're just going to go to the ER, and the reason we're going to go to the ER is because they can't reject us, and we're on Mass Health, and a lot of them would, people would just do that because
drives down service, drives up price, right?
Get a doctor's appointment was almost really difficult right away.
Thanks for the call, Penguin. 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE.
Complement your health with hemp-derived cannabinoid oil. We've always believed that the closer to Earth, the better it is for our bodies. Our hemp-derived cannabinoid oil is phytocannabinoid-rich, full-spectrum, and organically grown. Finally, hemp made easy, clean, and effective. GCNhemp.com or call 877-878-4203. That's right, we cut through the red tape. It's now available at GCNhemp.com or call 877-878-4203.
Would you like to get back that full head of hair from years past? Now, there is Reveal. Beverly Hills celebrity dermatologist Dr. Nathan Newman took nearly a decade to develop Reveal from natural botanicals to return to a full-body head of hair. Reveal for men and women with a 30-day money-back guarantee at GCNlife.com or toll free 844-443-6637. 844-443-6637. Reveal at GCNlife.com.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world. So I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive.
It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
Did you know that Free Aid is a mutual aid, educational, and networking organization? At Free Aid, we support volunteers who provide first aid. We do outreach to the public about health and safety, and we bring together medically skilled freedom lovers. Free Aid is made possible by your generous support. Donors can receive great gifts like first aid kits, t-shirts, silver dime cards, and hoodies. The Free Aid Silver Dime Card Project is sponsored in part by Roberts & Roberts Brokerage, Freedom's Phoenix, and Don't Tread on Meme. Visit fr33aid.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
Some of our live shows are streamed in HD on Twitch. Please follow and share at twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Come on. Yeah, come on and call in. 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. It is Mark with you.
Jay.
And Michael.
Got this story here from, where was it? TampaBay.com. And it looks like the politicians in Florida, largely Republican politicians in Florida, are attempting to figure out ways to keep ex-convicts from voting. This has basically boiled down to a partisan issue. If Republicans believed for a moment that ex-convicts were going to vote Republican, they would be clamoring to see them be able to vote, and Democrats the opposite. This is all about politics. And I don't think things should be that way. I think they should be about what's right. Do I think ex-convicts should be able to vote because they're ex-convicts? No. I don't think anybody should be able to vote. Honestly, the idea that you people can vote and tell me who's going to run my life is outrageous to me. Most of the people I voted for have never got elected.
I got a great example of voting. 2 weeks ago, Henniker Town Meeting, small town, New Hampshire, population 4,200 people. I don't know, just like 1,800 people who are actually, or 1,400 people registered to vote, I think, in the town. Town meeting, literally 60 people, maybe 70 people there. They increased our property tax 20.28% on the town side. That's my taxes.
That's a big increase.
On my property, just on the town side, are going to go up $347 according to the mill rate or however they figure it.
Yeah.
Millage. So, at this meeting, there was literally 30 to 35 people raising their card yes for every single vote, except for one, but every single vote. And there was, including myself and my wife, 5 to 7 people no on every single increase. What happened is the will of 30 people is going to be forced upon all the landowners, but I'm going to say forced upon 4,200 basically people who live in this geographical area called Henniker, New Hampshire.
Sure.
Because you're either own the land or you're renting it, and your taxes are going up.
Yeah.
And you're going to go more rent or more taxes, the same darn thing. So, yeah, I don't like voting either.
Businesses businesses have to pass overhead on to customers. A rental is a business. It's a small business, and maybe that first year the cost doesn't get passed on, but it has to get passed on at some point.
That money has to come from somewhere. They don't grow on trees.
Landlords aren't philanthropists. They're not in it to give people free places to live or pay to have people live in places. So every time you raise the taxes, you're raising the taxes on the poorest because that's the way
that's what I told. I rent a couple rooms with a few people. I told them your rent is this much, and if the property tax goes up, whatever it goes up is getting divided up a certain way, and you're going to see it. So please go vote no.
Yeah,
and none of them did.
What do they care? Spread out. So a Florida House committee approved a bill addressing the rollout of Amendment 4. That's the ex-convicts being able to vote, despite concerns that it would limit the number of former felons who would have their voting rights restored. Right. So people are concerned that it would have this. Well, the Republicans aren't concerned. Voting along party lines, Republicans advanced the measure which would require felons to pay back all court fees and costs before being eligible to vote, even if those costs were not handed down by a judge as part of the person's sentence. So,
what?
Right. Basically, it's effectively a poll tax, right? You want to vote? You're going to have to pay whatever we claim the court costs cost, and presumably interest. Remember, there are people in Florida right now who cannot vote because of a felony 40, 50 years old. I have a felony that's 30 years old, and I cannot vote in the state of Florida. What's the court cost? Am I going to have to pay the actual court cost from 30 years ago? Do I have to pay some kind of interest? Is this cost of living increase? Exactly how is this going to work?
In my experience, it's always the maximum allowable interest by law is what governments charge.
Yeah, like 12%.
Whatever they can get out of it.
Massachusetts, it's 18%.
Yeah, they'll always have a thing. They'll always have a number.
And then what if, now this is going to morph into, you didn't pay child support, you didn't pay a speeding ticket. Well, why not? If you didn't pay other court costs and you didn't pay a speeding ticket or you didn't pay a parking ticket, now let's, take people's right to vote. I mean, they may even do that somewhere.
The standard goes beyond the old system, which required someone to pay back restitution to a victim before applying to have their civil rights restored. So you had to finish your entire sentence in order to be able to vote. And that makes a certain amount of sense to me. I don't know exactly how much sense, whatever. I'm advocating for fairness. I'm not advocating for lots of people to be able to vote or anything like that. That's not what my concern is. My concern is that somebody not be disenfranchised. And in my case, I'm a felon in the state of from the state of Florida. When I go to Florida, they're going to determine, nope, you can't vote. And likely, if I attempt to vote, they're going to bring that up when I go up for clemency here in the relatively near future. So the governor is going to be like, oh, well, it doesn't look like you've learned your lesson. You're trying to go out and vote. What? I mean, you people, they fought a war in this country over taxation without representation. Y'all don't attempt to cut the convicts any slack. Why would you? I'm not saying that there's not a right, a power that the government has to prevent people who've been convicted from voting. I mean, the 13th Amendment's pretty clear. If you something about people can't be enlisted into involuntary servitude without having been convicted of a felony, therefore presuming that people who've been convicted of a felony can be put in...
well, it says for punishment of a crime.
Yeah, punishment of crime. That's it. Yeah.
I'm pretty convinced that crime is impersonating a United States citizen. By checking off United States citizen on a document, you're now impersonating a United States citizen.
Right. At issue is how broadly or narrowly to interpret the amendment and whether the legislature needs to do anything at all. The amendment being what the voters of Florida voted on and whether the legislature needs to do anything. They really don't. But they're going to because the Republicans in Florida want to retain Florida as a red state. I understand what the consequences are. And if you can tell me why ex-convicts in the state of Florida should not be able to vote, but ex-convicts in just about every other state in the union should. The number is 855-450-3733.
I got a question for you, Mark.
Yeah.
Are you aware of a state where if you are currently serving time in prison, you can vote?
Yes, Vermont.
Okay.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, so different states do it differently. And
so that's how you get Bernie Sanders as a representative?
I think
letting inmates vote?
Well, perhaps. There's not that many inmates in Vermont. Honestly, its incarceration rate isn't terrible. So what they do in Vermont, and this makes some sense. There are states they don't do this, which is strange to me. But in the city of in Vermont, you are a voter in your last district, so you're an absentee ballot kind of situation. You send away for it, you get it, and you're in good shape. So that makes a lot of sense. It's the same way they do with soldiers. However, there are states where you vote in the district that you live in. Now, this doesn't make any sense to me. I used to live in I was in a prison in a place called Sharps, Florida. The prison no longer exists, but Sharps had fewer residents than it did convicts. There were more convicts in Sharps than there were people, other people. So if you had let them in Florida, they obviously couldn't vote, but if you had let them vote in Florida, then they would have been the largest voting block in the town, presuming that Sharps was an actual town instead of just a postal district. But there have to be places in America, because often they put prisons in small towns. And in some of these states, one would presume that they have this problem. I mean, do the politicians go to the prison to campaign? Everybody's hanging out a tin cup, and the politicians are going by, I'd like to serve you here at City Council. I mean, is that what happens? It makes no sense at all.
I can't see a politician ever doing that.
No. And I'm not advocating for this. I'm not saying that convicts should be able to vote. I'm not saying that convicts should have the right to keep and bear arms while they're in prison. I'm not saying any of that. I am saying, however, there's a real problem in Florida disallowing ex-cons from voting, and the rest of the country doesn't. If you've got some thoughts that I have missed here, 855-450-3733. Believe me, I don't want these people to have control of my life, these voters to have control of my life either. 855-450-3733. I just think it's fair.
Does your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy? Come to Dynovite for help.
Order a 90-day supply of Dynovite.
Dynovite for life. Pick up 2 tubes of Doggo Suds.
Get the 3rd tube free.
Peppermint, tea tree, lavender, Doggo Sud shampoo.
Made with all-natural coconut, jojoba, aloe. Great for healthy skin and soft, shiny coats.
But no itchy, harsh chemicals.
Lather up, rinse away.
Try Doggo Suds. Buy 2, get 1 free.
At Dynovite.com.
DINOVITE.com.
Did you know you can legally exit the U.S. federal income tax system? Well, it's true, and thousands of American nationals are doing it. The 16th Amendment and the Internal Revenue Code are legal, but only in a limited jurisdiction. This is the basis behind the voluntary nature of the income tax. Learn the exit strategy provided by Congress. Find out more by visiting weissparis.com and watch our numerous videos. That's WEISS Paris.com.
Pain in my neck, back, and shoulders has really gotten worse.
Relief for body pain is here with Sunny Bay heating pads.
Well, the last thing I want is to take another pill, so what's so good about Sunny Bay heating pads?
Sunny Bay heating pads, made by Biomed DB Design right here in the USA, come in all sizes. Our extra large microwavable heating pad for back pain is designed to be large enough to cover your entire back. It's also perfect to wrap around your legs, knees, or shoulder and neck.
But I need to know they're good quality.
Of course, Sunny Bay heating pads and pillows are often an Amazon choice, and it's easy and most affordable when you purchase your Sunny Bay heating pads right from our website, sunshinepillows.com, or call us 253-678-1361.
Hey, a Sunny Bay heating pad
would make a great gift, right?
Yes, and they start at just $19.99 and free shipping is available. So call 253-678-1361 or shop for your Sunny Bay heating pad at sunshinepillows.com.
If you're looking for work, the person you are applying to may be even more nervous than you are. And the way things are now, your references have never been more important. Here are 3 tips. First, know that employers are checking. Every hire is under the microscope these days. Second, they won't just be checking references you provide. Figure that all of your ex-employers will get a call and be asked, would you hire him or her again? Third, assume you will be Googled. So before you apply, remove all those party animal photos from your Facebook page. Even if you're not in the job market, effective communication skills have never been more important, with money and attention so scarce now. For more tips for job seekers and getting better results in all your day-to-day communication, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
There are basically 2 types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Love what we do? Please help support our international satellite channels at patreon.lrn.fm. That's patreon.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Free Talk Live is bringing up issues that other radio programs in America are not bringing up. Free Talk Live is bringing them to the same radio stations that Rush Limbaugh, Sean Hannity, Glenn Beck, and the rest of the usual suspects are on. And if you like the idea that we're bringing up topics that the rest of the shows aren't bringing up, taking a different stance on the issues than other hosts are, well, check out our AMP page at amp.freetalklive.com. You can do as Doug has done, who's a platinum amplifier. Thank you, Doug. We ask simply for people to amp at amp.freetalklive.com, but you can do much more. There's a simple $5 a month, and you get all the perks of an amplifier. People like Doug who wish to do platinum, we thank, but they don't really get much else. It's amp.freetalklive.com. Love you, Doug. amp.freetalklive.com. So we're talking about this story from Florida, where apparently the Republicans are trying to make as many roadblocks as they possibly can to what they're calling ex-felons, ex-cons, to keep them from voting. It's more than 1 million ex-felons would have their right to votes restored, except for those convicted of murder and sexual offenses.
That's a lot of votes for Al Gore.
Yeah, right. And I think that that's probably what's going on. I would guess that it's split like 2/3 maybe Democrat to 1/3 Republican, just a guess. I don't know. I can tell you that if you're just looking at straight demographics, though, that might be even harder. When I was in prison, I can tell you there were days when it was, like using the terminology white, they put the boards on they put the names on the boards, and obviously people are concerned with demographics and stuff, but it was basically 1 white guy for every 12 non-white guys. So if you presume that everybody is not white and is going to vote Democrat, and obviously Cubans tend to vote Republican, either way, then you're going to see some maybe some higher numbers. I don't know. That's just me talking.
Was there a lot of Cuban folks in prison with you?
Yes. This was not too long after the Mariel boat lift, so we saw some of those folks in there, and then a lot of times the parents of the Cubans who came are great, upstanding, hardworking folks. The kids, on the other hand, wanted to be involved in gangs and all that stuff. So
yeah, just same thing. You see everywhere.
they don't see the value of having come to a better place and didn't want to improve their lives. Maybe they went on to do such a thing after they made their first mistakes or whatever, but in their youth they made these. I was in a youthful offender prison, so I got to see a lot of young guys. So either way, I guess one of the questions I'd have for you guys is, neither one of you are big on voting, like you don't think of it as a real solution to a problem. Do you think that ex-convicts should be able to vote? I mean, what are your thoughts on it?
I think if you're going to be subject to the voting, that you should, at least be able to, vote your position at the very least.
As a matter of playing the political game, as it were, because we know it's going to be one or the other that wins. It's not going to be a libertarian. If you should be able to participate in that if you want.
Yeah, I mean, I vote here in New Hampshire. I used to vote here in New Hampshire. I didn't vote in the last election. I feel disenfranchised. I have set up a situation where the house in which I live is not owned by me, so I don't have to. I'm not going to tie my name to my address, and I'm going to keep that as private as I can. As a result, I can't tell the government I live at such and such address and I want to vote if I want the government to not know what my address is. So, that's ultimately my problem. I don't vote here, but it's not because I'm disallowed. I've been voting for the last 12 years in New Hampshire. So, and I can go to the vast majority of the states in the United States and I can vote. That Florida, for some reason, is better off without convicts voting. I mean, let's just admit what the reasons are, people. At the very least, let's just go ahead and say it. We don't want ex-convicts to vote because ex-convicts are more likely to be black, and black people shouldn't. Black people vote Democrat, and we Republicans don't want that. At the very least, if they'd say that, then that would be the honest truth.
Yeah, when do you know a politician to say the honest truth?
Well, that's not what they do, but I'm here to get them to do that.
Would there be a Democrat reason for not wanting convicts to vote? I mean, I can't really think of one.
No. The Democrats are pushing hard for ex-cons to be able to vote. I can't think of any group that Democrats don't want to vote because the groups that vote Republican can already vote. Republicans have realized that they are a dying breed, and they have clamped down on people being able to vote in different jurisdictions and under different situations. I kind of agree with them on some. I figure if you want to vote in a government election, come up with a government ID. I'm fine with that. But, as an ex-con, I went out and got my driver's license that first couple of days. Now, why in the world they would give somebody who has not conducted a motor vehicle in 8.5 years a driver's license without some kind of test or questioning is beyond me, but they didn't.
Well, it's Florida.
The driver's license is not about safety. It's not about how good can you drive. I mean, just go on the road. There's plenty of people who got driver's licenses, and you wonder how they ever passed a test. It's about keeping track of cattle. It's about controlling the slaves. It's about compliance.
It's certainly not about making sure that somebody can drive.
Just like licensing any profession, it doesn't mean that you're any good at it or can do it right. I mean, doctors, have to have a license to be a doctor, and all these other professions, and that it just means that you can actually regurgitate the information that they're asking for on an application. That's all it's about.
In a lot of cases, Florida had a mail-in application situation, and
for a driver's license.
Yeah, for a driver's license. So people's parents, Ian renewed his online from New Hampshire regularly. A lot of people's parents, when they went to jail, would just mail it in and forge some signature or whatever on it and send a check, and off it would go.
While we're talking about driver's licenses, do you know? In the fine print in Massachusetts and in Colorado, and actually I noticed in Colorado because my mom got me a learner's permit, I got a learner's permit, and then a couple days later I got the driver's license in Colorado when I was 16. I couldn't do it in Massachusetts because I didn't have a social security number. Colorado didn't care. So they started sending my mom these the things to register for selective service. Well, actually, when you bring your 16-year-old or 15-year-old or whatever to get a permit or a driver's license, in the fine print, which nobody ever reads because you're agreeing to
whatever
law blah blah blah, which is a truck full of books, that you promise to bring your kid to the post office and have him sign up for selective service. That's what the parent is promising to do when they actually get a driver's license for their child that is under 18 years old, and by doing that.
Wow.
We had come across this. My mom's like, they keep on sending these to me. Would you keep on? And then about 3 weeks ago, I was talking to somebody about this, and they're like, oh, yeah, don't sign that. Don't get your kid a driver's license because now you're promising you're going to make them sign up for selective service, basically.
Yeah, I was cowed and I was scared. They were, talking about selective service, and so I signed up for it just like anybody else did.
I just kept throwing them out. I never signed up.
You were raised in a different way than I was raised.
Yep.
I standard WASP, white Anglo-Saxon Protestant rearing for me, and my parents were scared to death of the government. They didn't want anything. They didn't want the government coming after them, and I didn't want the government coming after me. They didn't understand it, and they would have never sued anybody. They just don't like it.
My dad actually never signed up for selective service because he didn't have a social security number. And when the football coach brought him and all his buddies on the football team down to the post office, they said, we need your social security number. Now, this was like, my dad had friends that were moving to Canada before their kids turned 18. My dad was, this was like right about Vietnam War era. Sure. And they were like, he had friends that were moving to Canada because they were worried that their sons were going to get drafted when they turned 18. So they moved to Canada before they turned 18. And my dad the lady said, go get a social security number, and when you get a social security number, then you can sign up for selective service. Well, he never went and got the number.
There you go. We'll just wait for that. No big deal. You just have to wait. Let's see. Election supervisors have and others have said that they want to help. They want help interpreting the historic amendment, which Florida passed last year, allowing ex-convicts to vote. It allowed more than 1 million ex-felons to have their voting rights restored, except for those convicted of a murder or sexual offenses. Nobody defined what sexual offenses meant, Grant said, so he included every felony sexual offense on the books, including prostitution and placing an adult entertainment store within 2,500 feet of a school.
Or peeing behind a dumpster.
Right, all kinds of stuff. Well, there's no charge for that. That's just lewd and lascivious or whatever. That's how they
a misdemeanor, right?
Right. No.
No?
Lewd and lascivious is not a misdemeanor. I've seen people convicted of some amazing stuff. 855, I'm just giving you the telephone number. Go to freetalklive.com. Check out our Telegram, telegram.freetalklive.com. You can see all of our show prep there. It's been Mark with you.
Jay.
And Michael.
Free Talk Live.
I wanted to ask your listeners about the religion and the people who practice Wicca. What do they think their agenda is? Is it to take over the world? Or?
Oh, no. No, I don't think so.
I mean, because they're somewhat of bullies.
They're bullies? What do you mean?
They bully with the religion themselves. A lot of people are afraid of them.
Can you give me an example?
The Tea Party.
The Tea Party has to do with Wicca?
Well, it's mostly because they're so secretive.
So
the Wiccans.
The Wiccans are secretive, and they have a lot of numbers, and they've infiltrated the Tea Party?
Well, they use them, like, for instance, the breakdown of Obamacare. That could very well have been the Wiccans using their power to break down the computers.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Lil Drums. Every bit as fun as a full-size Nestle drumstick cone, and definitely cuter. Visit us at drumstick.com. Vacations are all about family time, but you don't have to leave home to have fun. Take 1 weekend a month and devote it to family activities. Pull out the board games and puzzles, serve up some treats, or have a picnic. Even without leaving home, you'll feel like you've really had some time away. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
The latest episode of The Torchwood Report is next, after the news, on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is the Liberty Beat, your daily source for Liberty news and activist updates. Produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. Online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow with your latest edition of the Liberty Beat. Gold is trading at $1,316. Silver is trading at $15.37. And Bitcoin is trading around $4,009. Today's prices are brought to you by InnoScale. Take off with Managed Cloud. Looking for a safe, secure way to store your important files online? Then let InnoScale handle it for you. Their high availability cloud servers are the perfect solution for clients needing one or more secure, scalable servers with built-in hardware failover protection. For details, see them online at InnoScale.net. In the news, a new report from Amnesty International reveals that U.S. airstrikes from aircraft and drones have increased in Somalia, resulting in the deaths of at least 14 civilians. The Conscious Resistance, citing the Mind Unleashed, says that due to a literal blackout of all news related to the ongoing wars waged by the U.S. military, most Americans can't name the nations in which the military is currently engaged in conflict or dropping bombs. The report, titled The Hidden U.S. War in Somalia, details the history of terrorist attacks by al-Qaeda and al-Shabaab, the history of U.S. military involvement in Somalia, the current numbers on drone strikes and the impact on Somalis. The report also outlines conclusions about how the U.S. military should approach the situation moving forward. The report shows the U.S. military has tripled the annual rate of drone strikes in Somalia since April 2017. The number of strikes in 2018 was higher than strikes taking place in Libya and Yemen combined. Despite the increase in strikes, the U.S. military continues to claim that no civilians have died. The Amnesty International report investigates 5 incidents in Lower Subel, Somalia, in which 14 civilians were killed and 8 injured. The Liberty Beat is sponsored in part by Brave Botanicals. High-quality kratom and CBD at reasonable prices with excellent customer service. Brave Botanicals is activist-owned and mission-driven, fighting for your right to consume plant-based medicine and natural remedies. Find out more at mybravebotanicals.com. And listen up, Liberty Beat listeners. Right now, you can save 10% off your purchase by using promo code SNLS at checkout. This is the latest edition of the Liberty Beat, online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow reporting. Your news now continues. Documents obtained by the American Civil Liberties Union reveal that local police are helping ICE spy on Americans. That word comes in a report from The Mind Unleashed, which says that in May of 2018, the ACLU of Northern California filed a Freedom of Information Act lawsuit against the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement after the agency refused to comply with requests for records related to a massive automatic license plate reader database operated by a company called Vigilant Solutions. The records reveal that local law enforcement agencies are helping ICE by sharing residents' location information with the federal agency. The documents reveal that more than 9,000 ICE agents have access to the license plate reader database as a result of a $6.1 million contract with Vigilant Solutions. The Verge first reported on the contract in 2018. In yet another major move from the Lawyers Committee for 9/11 Inquiry, Architects and Engineers for 9/11 Truth, and 9/11 victim family members Robert McIlvaine and Barbara Krukowski-Rastelli, a joint federal lawsuit has been filed to assess any evidence the FBI may have known about that